are live. What is up, everyone? We are doing things a little bit different than normal. We are doing a Q&A type stream. I've got Fornication on voice chat.
Hello.
Welcome, Forn.
Hey there.
We are doing a type of Q&A in a way. In a sense, this was really just Forn and I were going to have a video chat. Originally, he was going to write me a 10-page paper, MLA format, but I guess he didn't like doing the homework. But I'm going to be working on a 3bftweaks, btweaks, ftweaks, like a beginner's guide, or also just like helpful videos for newer people coming in, or even just some people who've been around for a while that want to improve their gameplay. And I went to Forn about this. I was like, hey, I'm going to be doing this video. I also want to kind of like do like a little brief like history of 3bftweaks. And so he had the idea that we do a little video call, and then he just was like, hey, why don't we just stream it? So that's what we're doing.
That's that. I want to cite my sources for the paper, so
there you go. And anytime you need to interject, feel free to. So if anybody has any questions along the way, I'll probably state this a couple times throughout the stream just for people joining in. But if anybody has any questions for me, for Forn, Ftweaks related, you can drop them in chat. We can discuss those. We're also going to be discussing the next major updates for Ftweaks and possibly future updates and, you know, just the future of Ftweaks in general. So what's going on, everybody? Finally watching one live, Wicked, and it's not even gameplay. Sorry, man. Announcing the hero of Kvatch as a new character. Yes, that's true.
Ftweaks for Oblivion when?
Ftweaks for, are we getting Ftweaks for Skyblivion?
It's not likely.
Not likely. Come on. What if Manual makes Requiem for Skyblivion?
Maybe. Big maybe on that.
All you have to do is copy, paste, and add, right?
Yeah, of course.
So the let's see if I can type here. History of 3bftweaks. We'll start off with the history of 3bftweaks. You didn't start with 3bftweaks right off the bat, did you? You said you kind of came a little bit late.
Yeah, I probably came around to 3bftweaks at version, let's say maybe 0.15, which is like 15 updates into it. But he was pumping out updates, A Noob in Disguise, relatively quickly. So I was still there in the early stages. I'd say maybe not the earliest it could have been, but
Yeah. Now I was not active on. I was playing Requiem around this time, but I didn't start playing 3bftweaks until you posted your videos about it with the barbarian lady, the bearded lady. I was not active on Discords or anything. Were you? You were active on Discords around this time, though, right? Or was there even a Discord that was talking about 3bftweaks at the time?
yeah, so by the time I got there, I think they're saying my voice is a little bit low. I don't know if that is the case.
Okay, you've got chat open so you can see their questions as well. Or you're just watching my stream?
Both.
Okay, there we go.
But anyway, there's a Requiem Discord, and there was a 3bftweaks section by the time I got there. So I was playing for a little bit, but then started posting more things. I guess I was a little active on the Discord and figure I'd try it out. So there was already a decent community presence of 3bftweaks when I got to it, but it wasn't as popular. I don't think there were many, if only maybe a small handful of videos about it.
Sure. So I guess really what I should be asking about is, because if I remember correctly, 3bftweaks came from a NID wanting to make his own version of AZtweaks. Is that true?
So how it starts is a long time ago, AZtweaks was made, which was a combination of Requiem plus Behind the Curtain, which was a Requiem add-on, plus Applesauce's own changes that he made, which are pretty expansive. And A Noob was he was a big player of AZtweaks. And then A Noob in Disguise, being a modder himself, he made a few add-ons for AZtweaks and then decided he wanted to make his own mod. And he takes a lot of inspiration from AZtweaks. He takes a lot of ideas and interprets things himself, but then also goes different directions with some content. And from that, he made his and the complaints he had with AZ Tweaks are things that he wanted to do differently. He just kind of built his own mod, and it went in a pretty different direction, I'd say, but with the same inspiration. And then
Hmm.
that turned into 3 tweaks, which
Gotcha.
then, of
That's what I
course,
thought.
Banana made btweaks, which was the
So
bug fix and add-on mod.
So did is that when Banana like really like gained popularity in the community because he made btweaks, or was he like already semi well known like working on mods, or like was he helping a noob make 3tweaks?
So Banana Nut definitely helped with some bug fixes and reported them, but he didn't really do much in terms of 3 tweaks until he started, I guess, toward the end of a noob's modding career. But he definitely helped out. But he was known for his I believe the Black and White series, which was on YouTube, which
Right, I
is
remember that.
long gone. But he was already well known in the Requiem community. Um, and then he did a remake of Black and White, but they're not on YouTube anymore. So unless someone has those videos lying around on their hard drive somewhere, they are lost to time.
You know, we should have invited Banana onto the stream since he's somewhat back.
Yeah, he did just poke his head into Discord recently.
He pops his head in for a week every few months and then leaves. Let's see here. So I think Forn's voice should be better now. I have my desktop audio lowered whenever I'm playing games, so hopefully lower that a bit. Where are the bodies buried? Ghoul Smasher asks.
That he'll need to find out by finding a secret location in the game. And there's a note where the bodies are buried.
Okay. When I was trying to look, I was looking on the Nexus mods page here, trying to find when like 3tweaks was initially uploaded.
Yeah, I can tell you that. It's easy.
Oh.
So, original upload is November 10th of 2019.
You said November 10th?
Yep, 2019. And
When was?
AZ Tweaks was
Oh,
January
that's
of
right.
2017. So basically
Jeez.
2.5 years from AZ Tweaks to the beginning of 3 tweaks.
You said January 17th?
January 26, 2017 for AZ
So
Tweaks.
2617. Ah, gotcha.
I'm not
I
sure
did
if it
not
was around
realize.
earlier than that. Maybe just floating around unofficially, but the official Nexus release is then.
Gotcha. I didn't realize AZ Tweaks was that old. What
I thought it was
version?
older, to be honest.
What version of Requiem was out when AZ Tweaks came out?
So the original version, it was 1.9.4, and then
Wow.
eventually it was updated with some help to version 3.4, which is the official latest version of AZ Tweaks. But I hear that Apple is
Yeah, I saw Apple's back on Discord.
underway of updating it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I never played AZ Tweaks myself because by the time I got into the add-on side of things like this, I was already playing 3tweaks. I mean, I played a lot of the like Behind the Curtain and Minor Arcana. I had like all of those mods added to my Requiem 1.9.4 load order, but I never even heard of AZ Tweaks at the time.
I heard of it a little bit a long time ago. I didn't get into AZ Tweaks until after I started playing 3 tweaks. And it definitely has its own very unique spin on things. It feels much more different to Requiem or 3 tweaks that we know.
What kind of things did AZ Tweaks have that a NID like just scrapped altogether, like just didn't like the design philosophy of? And do you know? Did you play enough of it to understand?
I could compare some changes. So I mean they both tweak races and birth signs and blessings in their own way, and they're all good. They all have their pros and cons in their own way. I'd say some big changes are, well, the XP system, of course, but that's different from everything. It takes so much inspiration from AZ Tweaks. It's just, I think, more streamlined and simplified than AZ Tweaks. There's a lot of very complicated math regarding, let's say, armor rating and resistances in AZ Tweaks, where even if you look at all the numbers, you'll never be able to tell, for example, how much damage you're actually going to resist based off your armor
Hmm.
rating and
Gotcha.
clothes and this and that. Versus in 3 tweaks, they simplified it to where it's just like the standard armor rating system, but then everything else is accommodating that change. So it tries to be straightforward with how it goes with things while still trying to achieve the same goals as AZ Tweaks, just simplified.
Gotcha. Didn't Requiem? I thought Requiem also had like the same math as far as 3 tweaks does. Like
So
every 10 points of armor is 1%
So originally
resistance.
Requiem didn't, but then 3 tweaks made that change, and then a few Requiem versions later,
Okay, that's what I
Requiem
thought.
also made that change. So it's funny because Requiem made a lot of changes that 3 tweaks takes, but also 3 tweaks and the other changes make some changes, and then you see that Requiem a
Hmm.
few months after also incorporates the same, if not like a similar change. So
Yeah.
it's a big community driven effort. Everything's like open perms and everything, so
Right.
they
Right.
feed off each other.
Oh, for sure. I'm honestly, I almost feel like one day Requiem and 3 tweaks might end up merging. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel
There's
like, good.
no god.
I was just gonna say, I feel like whoever is working on Requiem at the time is just gonna end up seeing all the progressive changes that 3 tweaks or 3bftweaks as a whole brings, and just ultimately decides that this is probably the best route for the mod. In my opinion, I don't know. I could be wrong.
I feel like a lot of changes in 3 tweaks and the 3 BF tweaks can go right into vanilla Requiem, and it'll be a
Yeah.
welcome change by all. I have heard so many people say that they're not a big fan of one aspect of 3 tweaks, like the leveling system or the stamina system, but they like almost everything else, and they just want like standalone versions. Which that's
Hmm.
another story. But
Yeah.
in general, a
Yeah.
lot of the changes are suited for like vanilla Requiem.
I mean, I think the leveling system is like probably one of the biggest features that is like what makes 3 tweaks amazing. But of course, we have other mods like experience and SSL and all that other crap that just I don't think works as well as what 3BF tweaks has to offer. But I also feel like if it wasn't for the leveling system, it might be easier to merge the 3 tweaks design philosophy into Requiem. I think that's probably what prevents a lot of people, because they use it as an excuse for their RP. Just hold on, checking chat real quick to see what's your process when tweaking stuff. Opinions from other players, your own playthroughs, if you actually play. That was a question from Claudio Riviera.
So for me, Claudio, I get tons of feedback from people by either watching their videos or them like directly saying like what might need a buff or nerf or a change in the Requiem Discord. But it's just simply either feedback from other people, or I find something in Xedit that seems off, or when I'm playing, I'll just be like, this needs a nerf, or I'm not getting enough gold in the early game, or this food I tend to never buy this food. Why don't I ever tend to buy this food? And then like I need to analyze, the reasoning for doing something. I try to make things. I like giving people options, so I want everything to be maybe not equally valid, but I don't want one thing to become an obvious meta. Like beef stew in most Requiem, everything, even though you could eat multiple foods in Requiem, but beef stew is the best, right? Everyone knows beef stew is the best, but I'd rather give more options that maybe aren't as good as beef stew always, but at least give more options. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, community
I
feedback is probably the biggest
I
driver.
always thought you just woke up, like, every now and again you just wake up for the day and say, what do I want to nerf today? And then you just go to my YouTube channel.
That is part of the creative process.
I saw someone on Discord mention, they were like, oh, like while I was on break, I just like saw someone like mention my name, and they were like, man, I went to go play some of Greed Gaming's builds and everything he's played has been nerfed.
Well, some YouTubers, I'm not mentioning names, tend to go for the best builds all the time.
Hey, now, I don't go for the best builds all the time. I try to think of creative ways to break your game.
True.
Yeah, Wolf said, I thought this was funny. He said Skyrim podcast pog. That'd be pretty cool, having a Skyrim modding podcast, but I don't think our community is big enough for that.
True.
Yeah, leveling is what got Wolf in place in the begin with. Honestly, I think the leveling system for 3 tweaks is what saved me from like not or quitting playing Skyrim altogether, or like just because like Requiem really absorbed me into Skyrim again, and I was like, oh, Requiem just breathes new life into this game. Like the replayability is so much fun, and this is just with like things like Minor Arcana and Behind the Curtain and all the like builds that you'd play back then, you know, was constantly replaying. I like never would finish the game, not even come close to it. And then when I played 3bftweaks like the first time, I ran through the whole game. I was just like, wow, I don't think I've done that in Requiem. It's just like as soon as I played 3bftweaks, it's just like the leveling just kept me engaged. It never felt like a grind. I felt like I just got to play the game. And I don't understand why some people just, that's the biggest turnoff for them is the leveling. I think it's the biggest part of the mod to begin with.
So some people made some comments here. Earl said customization like potions of insight plus regular leveling would be nice. Strictly Wicked said I use experience with static skill leveling with Requiem and 3bftweaks. Leveling is far better. So he's saying that the R system is better. So to comment on some of the alternative leveling systems, the problem with vanilla leveling is that even if you're strictly role playing and you're playing like you're super into the character, the most efficient way to do things are to do things that do not make sense. And by not taking advantage of that, you're gimping yourself. For example, when you're tempering a weapon, you temper the weapon to get more base damage out of your weapon, or to get more damage out of your weapon, which makes sense because you want to be stronger, take on content, have an easier time, but you get less XP for using a tempered weapon than the base weapon because the XP is only comes from the base weapon damage. So if your Daedric sword does, I don't know, 80 damage and you temper it to 120, you're going to get like 50% less XP for using that weapon in combat and therefore level 50% slower, which doesn't make sense. And there's no really good way of balancing the entire game around all the different ways that don't make sense to level up. And don't get me started on the crafting skills.
Yeah, well, I can actually, as far as crafting goes, I mean, even just in general leveling, I think some people are having a hard time defining the line between realism and immersion and role playing. And realism does not make a good game. The more realistic you get, the less fun a game can be. Now, of course, that's a subjective opinion, but it does hold merit overall, just because, you know, if you want to talk about it realistically, oh, you shouldn't be leveling up any of your martial skills quickly. That should take years of training and practice, not just going out and fighting bandits. No, you got to practice on those dummies. You know, same thing with crafting. You got to spend years of crafting potion, years of studying spells. You really want to do that in a video game? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know, you try to get too realistic, you stray further away from a video game, and all of a sudden you're just playing life.
Yeah, like you said, so there's three things you said there. You said realism, which it's just not going to be fitting in Skyrim. There's immersion and role playing. And I guess let's talk about role playing first. So role playing to some people means like playing their character as if like you are the person.
Go chop some wood.
Yeah, like you're going to be chopping some wood and then building a house and then like eating every meal 3 times a day and sleeping. And like but role playing could be anything. Like there's so many role playing games where you don't do any of that. It's just like you assume a role of a character, you assume a role of an adventure in Skyrim. It says nothing about how you actually play the character. It's just kind of how you think about the character. Like The Witcher is a role playing game and it's just combat and talking to people with quests. There's nothing else really. So nothing about the insight system versus vanilla leveling interfere with role playing. You could role play that
I agree.
you make one potion and then like you make a really crappy, you make 100 really crappy potions and like sell out a vendor in vanilla Skyrim. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Why would this vendor buy some random junk off you and lose all their gold? But you could role play one way or another. It should not impact you role playing. Your role playing is just your imagination.
Yeah. And then on like the immersion side of things, some people say it's not immersive to have the potions of insights, but this kind of comes down to like you're playing a game. There's going to be gamey mechanics. And one of those gamey mechanics that you're just going to have to overlook is the fact that you're picking up potions in a chest for your experience. But like as far as picking up potions off of dead enemies, you have auto loot mods that can do that for you. You hit your level up skill, your level up spell, and it consumes them automatically. So you can just pretend like they never exist. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are. Okay. But I mean, you can just look at insights as just like, it's not a potion of insight. It's literally just your experience.
Yeah,
You're
the same
gaining
way that like
experience.
experience mod, like when you get quests, you get XP.
Yeah.
Instead of getting just XP in the top left corner of your screen, it's just instead you're getting a potion that does the exact same thing. But people just don't,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, the potion aspect kind of messes with. But you never even have to drink it. You just select the increased skills thing. It's not perfect, so I've got to say, there's never going to be a perfect system. It's one approach that I and a lot of others have found. It just works. It prevents you from having to think about like how am I supposed to get all this XP? I need to do this and that. I need to buy out the smithing vendors iron ore to make iron daggers, at least, back in the vanilla Skyrim days. You don't have to
Right.
think about any of that. You just play the game naturally
Yep.
and you
That's the
level up,
best part.
which I think is the most important part. If it doesn't interfere with how you play the game, I think that is important to leveling.
I
Now
think
let's look at
I
some
think what
comments
it
too.
I think a lot of the people who don't like the leveling are the same people who probably do alchemy to level 10.
And so another complaint about 3 tweaks is that it kind of forces you into combat right away with bandits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a valid point. Like in vanilla
Right. It
Skyrim,
is.
you take on easy content at your leisure, and especially in Requiem, where the difficulty is amplified, even fighting wolves is hard. And then 3 tweaks is like, you shouldn't really kill wolves. Let's get you right into the bandits. I have
Right.
taken some measures to address that, and so has 3 tweaks. So it gives you extra starting health. It gives you a standing stone and divine blessing right at the beginning to make your
Mm-hmm.
life a lot easier.
The
Um,
races in general are just stronger too.
yeah,
Like they have stronger
exactly.
abilities.
They're all strong from the start. So there are a lot more ways to get into combat, but I do understand that some people still find it too hard. So recently I've added like diluted insights from wildlife. So you could kill a wolf and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be rewarded. Not a lot, but if you do want to just kill wolves and mud crabs to level 3 or 4, you're welcome to. It's
You
not the
have
point of
made
the mod,
killing
but
mud crabs a viable option for level like 1 through 3.
exactly. I know some people want to do that. It's not what I personally like, but it's not just for me. It's a mod for everyone. So
Right,
got to
exactly.
accommodate in some ways.
Yeah. And if I'm missing anybody's questions, I apologize. We've got a lot coming in. We're also trying to talk about a lot. Some questions, like I see you, Wolnir, asking like if 3bftweaks, would you recommend it for a necromancer build? I'd recommend 3bftweaks for any build you could possibly imagine. I think the 3bftweaks suite of mods, I'm just going to, really it's just Ftweaks at this point that does most of the heavy lifting nowadays, of course. But Ftweaks just, I think, offers the most options out of any mod list in general. Like you can play Simon Rim, and yeah, you've got like an IRIM and all that kind of stuff, and their systems are so beyond complicated. At least for someone like me, I mean, I've played them a little bit, and I just think they're so overly complicated. There's like 50 bajillion perks. There's so many things you can do like in an individual skill tree in those mod lists, but I feel like in 3 tweaks you have just overall build options beyond belief. There's so many things you can do, so many creative things. There's things that nobody has thought of. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with 3bftweaks. So any build you want to play, I recommend 3bftweaks.
And just to say, NIRIM and Simon Rim. I mean, Simon Rim's more of a vanilla plus. NIRIM can get
Mhm.
pretty complex.
Yeah.
They're all fun, but
Oh yeah, in their own right.
they aim for different things than
Right.
what the Requiem and 3 tweaks community like. Like they're
Yeah.
pretty separate. Like most people that play exclusively NIRIM and Simon Rim don't like Requiem. Well, people that like Requiem, I'd say 50-50. They either don't play anything else or they kind of play with
I think
everything.
the majority of people who play Requiem don't play any non-Requiem lists at all. As soon as you try to, it's hard to play it. I feel like at least that's what my personal opinion's been, and I've found that a lot of other players have been as well.
All right, let me read some things here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too.
Leveling, Lagul said, leveling could be intimidating because it's so different, but once you get used to it, there's no getting back. I agree. In the beginning, it's weird. Like when I first played 3 tweaks, because again, I started playing 3 tweaks and then eventually moved on to modding it as well. But I was iffy about the leveling system. I was like, can we do half insights, half normal leveling? I was really, really hesitant to try it, just reading about it. Of course, I was reading the Nexus page. Then when I actually played it, I'm like, hey, I could just play the game and then level up without having to think about how I'm going to level up. It was nice. So it's
So
definitely intimidating to just read about, but actually giving it a chance and playing it, I'd say it's better than it sounds.
I'm just going to comment on, I'm just going to call this guy Always because his name looks like that. But he said the only downside of 3 tweaks for him is that he feels forced to start Ember Shard with how it's the easiest thing level 1. And that's kind of the point that Forn was talking about with, trying to expand the options early on, like adding the diluted insights to the wildlife, giving you the option, even if you're a good player, like, even if you're not new to 3 tweaks, and say you're playing like a mage build, and sometimes that's just hard to fight bandits like at level 1 unless you have like some specific build that is designed to kill bandits at level 1. You can go and take on those mud crabs and stuff so that you can get your level ups early on, so you can get that extra perk that you need before you do start fighting bandits. You're not forced into fighting bandits. Now, you could also maybe argue that there could be non-combat related ways of getting early insights, but it just, it can be hard to balance.
Yeah, it actually makes me think of a common thing about 3 tweaks, a common criticism. It's that people are just in general hesitant to relearn things. So when people first played Requiem, like you could read Nexus page and Reddit posts about Requiem, they're like, "Oh, it's so hard to kill a wolf. It's so unrealistic. It sucks. This and that." And there's so many posts about different things are too hard or not realistic. But you just need to adapt to Requiem, and then you'll realize how the mechanics work and how the world is designed. And then people that play Requiem but then go into 3 tweaks sometimes kind of forget there is a difference in like what you shouldn't expect as Requiem plus a couple changes. You need to go into it with a little bit more of an open mind and realize that there's going to be a lot of changes and the world is going to be a you need to take a different approach to it. So yes, indoor bandits are going to be hard. Ember Shard's not an easy dungeon. It's like a good starting dungeon, but it's not easy. You got to fight two people in the beginning in a very tight space, and then you either have to lure them out or just like circle around, and there's not a good area to really kite them to. And later on, there's like the archer on the bridge, which you have to like run up to. It's not an easy dungeon for sure. There's a lot easier dungeons you could take on
Yeah, I
early on.
think like I'm trying to remember the name of the tower. It's like if you do
Vandermist?
the like alchemist in the woods or something, start like that, and it like spawns you next to that tower in
Mhm.
Fall Creek. There's just like 3 bandits. That
When you
one's like that's like a fairly easy like starting dungeon right there. It's not even a dungeon.
I think the biggest challenge a lot of people have is not wanting to relearn the system. They're just expecting Requiem plus a few changes, but
Hmm.
you have to have a different mindset when going in for the first time. And
And
then
I
it's a
think
quick adaptation if you have an open mindset.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also kind of boils down to like you have these new systems in place, like the difficult stamina management that you're not might not be used to, that Requiem wasn't as hard on, or just how strong bandits are now compared to vanilla Requiem. Some of those minor changes is what people have a hard time adapting to, and I think that's why working on a beginner's guide of sort, or just a guide in general for 3BF tweaks is going to really help, because whenever we have somebody who's like wanting to try out, they can go watch my video and be like, oh, these are things I never even knew about. Like even like something minor, like just the holding block after an attack to help with your stamina, or just get that block in right before you get smacked on a punish or something. Just general movement tips that people might not realize. How to jump properly in Skyrim. Some people, they don't even know how to jump properly. You try to hold forward while jumping and you get stuck on a rock, where it's better if you jump and then press forward. Even just some minor technical things like that can help somebody be better at a mod list like this, or at a mod like this. And that's kind of like some of the things that I'm going to be including in my video. But I kind of wanted to give everybody that preface of like, here's how 3 tweaks started. Here's some of the things it's done. And then kind of go into the like, here are some general tips on how to make the game easier at the start and help you learn faster.
So he's saying Claudio's saying, I've seen people go through dungeons and have a hard time and be rewarded by very few potions of insights. So now all sorts of enemies drop diluted insights, which alleviates the kind of RNG at the end of a dungeon where you may not get as many insights as you feel you're needed, but you get guaranteed XP from killing enemies. Not a lot, but it definitely adds up, especially with bigger dungeons, which may not have a super rewarding chest. So that we've kind of taken measures to add to the potential um, reward you get at the end, just having it being along the way versus just at the end. So I feel like a lot of those problems have been addressed, but we're still making changes to, if one dungeon isn't giving enough insights. For example, recently I just buffed in the companion's quest line at the end when you go to the cave all the way in the north for Yizgramor's tomb or
Eastcore's
whatever.
tomb. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're all ghosts. So you can't loot ghosts, so they don't provide any insight potions. So really it's just like a shitty chest at the end. But now recently I've added a whole bunch of insights to that chest so you feel like you're rewarded. So it's still a work in progress. I mean, the modding never ends. It's not a finished product ever, but
Right. Let's see here. Yeah, I think beginners content will help a lot for people who are interested in 3bftweaks, because most of the people interested in it are people who are either tired of playing Requiem or like just coming back to Requiem and have seen all this hype. I feel like our community's been growing pretty well. I mean, I've definitely noticed a higher surgence in activity on even on Discord. More new faces. I took like 5 months off. I come back and it's like all new people with mixed in with some of the old people that I recognized.
yeah, the video presence definitely helps. Vanilla Requiem isn't really as suited for videos as much because things are a lot slower.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And the way the world is going, we're all about that short content, sweet and to the point. None of us have attention spans long enough to watch these longer videos.
It's nice that 3 tweaks is I mean, you could change the leveling speed, but at default, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you have more customizability even just in the MCM menu of changing how leveling works for your personal taste. Like in La La Land 3.0, La La has insights increase, so the amount of points you need once you get past 25. So instead of 10, it requires 15. And then instead of 20 after level 50, it requires 30. And then instead of 30 after 75, it requires 40. So he's slowed the leveling down. But I actually like the vanilla setting that 3bftweaks has. And then I also like the conversion for dilute or like regulars into graders, just doing like the 10-to-1. But that's like my personal preference because one, I'm making YouTube videos, so having like the faster paced playthrough makes more sense for the YouTube videos. But I also personally enjoy the faster paced games because I like to see the build progress quickly and then move on to the next one.
Right.
But if somebody wants a slower, more drawn out game and they want to add like more immersion related mods, or they want to get more like role play involved, they can just slow the leveling down and have more time to do that with their characters. You have control.
I wish it was easier to add custom quest content to 3bftweaks. There's no reason it's hard to add custom quest content to 3bftweaks. It's just as hard to, just as easy or hard, whatever you want to say, to make a quest patch for Vanilla Requiem as it is for 3bftweaks.
Yeah.
All 3bftweaks does is add insights to vanilla chests. So, I mean, it's super easy to patch a chest if it's not from vanilla. But as far as perks go and health, it's pretty similar to Vanilla Requiem, which isn't that easy to begin with, but it's not a big jump from Requiem to 3bftweaks.
Always says love to have a tutorial or a list of easy level 1 locations. I think it's a pretty good idea. I could probably include that in like my beginner's guide. Like here's some places, when you're starting, like camping in the woods, while it is like obviously the definitive start, it's what everybody does. The reason it's such a classic or like a strong start is it's not the easiest. A lot of people probably watch our videos and think like, oh, everybody starts camping in the woods, I'm going to do that. And then they get shot by that archer or they try to
3 bandits right to beginning from level
it's not
1.
easy.
It's not easy. I mean, it's not the hardest thing, but it's
no, definitely not. But
one bandit fight.
People go in there, they try to break the bow, and then the other bandit forward power attacks him with a 2-hander, and you just die. Or you go in there and you get unlucky, and the guy's got like a dwarven bow, and you're like, well, I can't break that, so I'm just fucked. So you know, the tutorial on the easy level 1 areas, you know, we can find some easier places. Like even Riften is a popular start to go down and get the stamina ring. But once again, that's not necessarily an easy one. You're in a small corridor fighting an archer that usually has a bow that's not breakable. And then you have a shield bandit. Like it's not easy. So there are some areas that are easier. It's just majority of what you see the YouTubers running through. Most of the people that are playing on YouTube are people who have been playing for a while and you know, they're more comfortable with doing some of that content early on. So I think that'd be a good idea to kind of show off some even easier spots just to get those first few levels. And I'll even like kind of show how killing mud crabs is going to help you level early on. Speaking of the mud crabs, are you adjusting the number of insights or are you leaving that the same?
For right now, I'm leaving it the same. I think I have a fix in progress, so you don't get it from like killing rabbits and stuff.
Gotcha.
So like all the tiny easy creatures, not to so you're not incentivized of just like decimating every single wildlife. Only the ones that give a threat to you. I think I let that accidentally slip through. So just
Gotcha.
mud crabs, wolves, deer, goats, anything that could potentially fight back. So not
Mhm.
foxes, not bunnies, not chickens, but
Yeah. I'd maybe even argue to say that bandits themselves should maybe give a few more diluteds, but it always depends on like how many bandits are in the dungeon, and it kind of becomes hard to balance. But like I always thought it was kind of funny to start camping in the woods, and you know, I kill the 3 bandits there and I get like 3 diluted insights, and then I go kill 2 mud crabs and I just got 6.
that is a good criticism.
Yeah, so that's
But
something that
so
I've
how it
seen
works
personally.
currently is that animals stop giving insights after a certain level,
Right.
and then bandits keep giving insights until another certain level, and then they
Mhm.
both stop giving it.
Would it be possible to set the number of potential diluted insights that bandits get, say from like level 1 to 5 they actually give more, but after level
Yeah,
5 they start to give less?
yeah, super easy.
That might actually be something that's worth doing. Like maybe at level 1 there's a higher chance for them to give like 4 diluted insights or something, but then once you hit like level 5 the max they give is like 2, depending on the areas, of course, locations. That can help kind of make more sense of like, how come I just, you know, I went through this bandit location, I barely got any insights. I could have went and killed mud crabs for 10 minutes and got the same number.
Yes. So all right, I noted that, and I'll look into that.
And that's another thing I really like about you as a mod author and just for this community is you are very involved, and you know you're approachable, and everybody ping Forn on Discord. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But you know you are obviously involved, and you listen to feedback, and you have your own personal opinions on how you think things should be, and you put your foot down, and I think that's really well appreciated. Obviously, a lot of the takes that I have are extreme in some cases, and do I want them? I want them in my game, but do I think they should be in 3bftweaks as a whole? No, I don't.
I mean, I do the same with my game. Like I make the mod list Arcade's commandment, but I have to draw a line between what is best for my list versus what
Right.
is best for my mod. And there is definitely a big difference in how I want my game versus how I want the mod for other
Yeah,
people
for
to
sure.
play.
Like
So,
we don't want slips on slopes in Ftweaks.
I mean, I do, but
That's
I know
that's what I'm talking
I
about. That's the
realize
exact thing.
everyone has their own thing, so I try to keep things that are
Right.
um that everyone might enjoy. And I feel like even Requiem's gotten a lot better in that because Manuel's now in the Discord versus before with Ogre Boss. I mean, nothing wrong with the guy as an author, but he wasn't involved at least in the Discord community where I feel like
Mhm.
we're a lot more active than the Reddit community and stuff. So
Yeah, I was kind of late to the Discord game. I was more like involved with the Reddit community than I was Discord. I just like I never like really used Discord for much, so I was pretty late coming into the Discord side of things. So I never got to see what it was like really earlier on with Requiem Discord.
it was just people talking, but there weren't many mod authors. I mean, Noxcrab's been there for forever, but his
Yeah,
son,
since the beginning of time. Wamudo, I think you're joking. He said, "What do you think about adding a new spell like okay, never mind." He said, "What do you think about adding new spells like a blinding spell from the Shadowstone?" I don't know if he's meaning like adding that back or just like new spells in general. But if you're talking about new spells in general, he's added so many new spells,
so
countless.
the blinding spell is back in the Shadow Stone. So Shadow Stone now has two abilities. It
Oh,
originally in 3 tweaks had the invisibility power, and then Banana and btweaks changed it to what's it called? Invoke darkness or something, where
yeah, Invoke
you
Darkness.
blind
Yeah, I
an
think that was what
enemy.
it was called. Yeah.
And then Banana at one point, once he was kind of retired from btweaks, he told me to all right, revert my change. I like the original change that a noob did.
Hmm.
But then after I did that, I was like, why don't we just have both? So
Yeah, that's a
now
good idea.
both
Kind of like how
are
the
part of
Serpent
the
Stone
Shadow
has two
Stone.
abilities.
Yep. So now both abilities are in the Shadow Stone. I think one costs stamina, one magicka, but don't quote me
Oh,
on
that's a
that.
pretty cool balance. Might have to try a sneak build eventually, even though I just can't stand playing them. Vanilla Skyrim just ruined that for me. Played way too many sneak archers.
Me too. I played too much sneak in general.
Yeah, yeah. Thoughts on future of Ftweaks and any big additions coming soon that you would like to share? Yeah, we actually were going to talk about some changes in the next update that are coming.
Uh, who said that? Are you just throwing that in there? Oh, that's Bailey said that.
No,
Hey,
Bailey
Bailey.
said that. Yeah, I mean, you said we were going to talk about
I
it a little
was
bit.
talking about it earlier, so I thought you were just shoving that in there. You
Oh
want me
yeah,
to do that
no, it
now?
is a perfect segue.
Okay, so future of Ftweaks. I mean, I have so many ideas that I want to do that I gain and lose interest in doing as time goes on. It's just whatever I'm in the mood for, I kind of do. I do have things I kind of want to do, but they may not necessarily happen. But currently, in the next update, I'm working on a quite a few number of things. So let me just make a delta patch here of what I'm working on, so I could. Give me a second.
Also, while he's doing that, chat, if anybody has any suggestions on what they want to see or what they think would be good for a beginner to see in the video that I'm going to eventually make for the beginner's guide to 3bftweaks, or, you know, how to improve as a 3bftweaks player, you know, just anything that you can think of, just drop that in here. I'll look through the comments and everything and make notes of those. Like, I like the idea of the tutorial on easy level 1 locations, because I remember when I first started playing Requiem, I had a hard time adapting. I played it, I quit, I eventually came back and, you know, eventually got good. But I was always looking for content. I'm like, where can I go? Where are places I can go? I never know of any places I can go. And so I think that's a really good one.
All right, so I'll kind of go through my changelog work in progress so far of what I've been doing. And I mean, not everything's going to be major that I'm talking about, some just minor things, but overall, I'm working on a little bit of a rebalance of potion costs to make some things a little bit more um, incentivized to buy potions from shops. I am boosting the strength of oils, so they're going to be a little bit stronger than before, um, and a little bit cheaper too. Again, with that price change, a really big update I'm working on is a snack system. So when 3 tweaks launched, it had a full meal system, but the snack system was pretty much unchanged from Skyrim, which it just means it's not finished. So I'm making a whole new snack system similar to the meal system, just they're going to be a lot weaker than the meals. So it's going to be fun finding out all these different new types of snacks that are going to be good for your character to want to buy or make or whatever. Um, I'm changing poison resistance, the enchantments and alchemy effects to have a secondary effect. So it's not just a I'm going to throw this on before I fight a Falmer kind of effect, but you might want to use it during some other times. Maybe not the best enchant, but at least it does something else. I'm adding some new rings in. So right now there's no like frost resistance rings, right? So all the different types of resistance rings are going to be added and available to find or purchase. I'm going to add the charm system back. So in AZ tweaks, there are charms, which allows you to get blessings. And in old Ftweaks, you used to be able to get those, but then I replaced them by adding hand-placed shrines you get at the end of quest lines. But I'm also going to add those charms back in as a different way you could potentially get Daedric blessings earlier on.
Yeah, I like the idea of the charms and making it easier to like get the blessings or whatever. It also helps with the the disease thing that we were talking about in
Yes,
Discord the other
exactly.
day. Yeah, healing
So there's
diseases,
going to
which is
be
nice.
other ways to get those Daedric blessings to heal diseases. They're not going to be necessarily easy to come by. I'm going to put them on mages, so you may have to
Mm.
kill a mage. So not maybe a level 1 thing, but definitely
Hmm.
not late game. I mean, you could find mages anywhere, sometimes alone, which aren't the most difficult thing.
Yeah, like there's one near the Camping in the Woods start conjure.
Exactly.
There's
I'm
also one in
adding.
Falkreath.
Yeah, they're pretty much spread
Two.
over. I mean,
Two
sometimes
in
there's a whole
Falkreath.
dungeon, sometimes there's
Yeah.
just one at a
Yeah,
time.
there's one that sits outside of Anzelvon. You could easily kill that one.
Right. New system regarding scroll crafting that's taken from a couple changes from Noxcrab's mod. So I'm adding scroll crafting in so you can make scroll crafting with the appropriate enchanting perk using some there's going to be a little system you'll see. I'll talk about more of that about that when it's introduced. Making a bomb system also from Noxcrab's mod. So there's going to be bomb, elemental bombs, and also a nail bomb, which you can create with smithing,
On
and you
the
could also buy from blacksmiths.
enchanting thing, I don't know if you still had it noted. I know I was talking to Ghoul about it, and he was going to ask you about it. Are you still planning on splitting the infusions to be elemental?
No plans yet.
Okay,
That's maybe on the to do later thing. No immediate
gotcha,
plans, at least.
gotcha. Because I know that just directly related to some mods that Ghoul was working on as far as unique weapons and such.
Nothing yet. Just going through my list here. I did a complete vendor overhaul. So all sorts of vendors, you name it, alchemist, blacksmith, general store, Fletcher, wizard, they all have revamped lists. So they're going to have a lot more useful items to carry. Maybe not useful for your character, but useful for some type of character. They're going to have ways to, of course, craft scrolls now that I added scroll crafting, but also just a ton of more general items that smith might want to have. For example, different types of blacksmiths will have more or less explosive arrows, the new bombs I'm adding, the master keys, enchanted weapons, enchanted armors, and hopefully it'll give you another reason to check out all those vendors that you may not really go to anymore. Again, it's not going to force you to go to all these vendors, but it'll hopefully be good for some people. I don't want to force going to vendors down people's throats, but at least they're more worthwhile when you do go to them.
Yeah, I feel like the majority of the time we go to them right now, it's just well, I got to offload all my gems and shit. Oh, look, they had one enchanted item once a playthrough that was actually useful for me.
Right. So hopefully they'll be a little more useful. I'm adding um ancient Nordic coins to Draugr dungeons to make them. You're going to be selling these coins, so it still scales with your speech level, but it'll give at least a nice little gold boost to ancient Nordic ruins. And I'm still working on some other ways to potentially give more gold later game, which Creed and I were talking about. Um, let's see. I'm changing the damage, magicka, and stamina enchantment to something a lot more useful than damage, magicka, and stamina because they are shitty weapon enchantments. Let's see. Nerfing the frost spells from slowing you down too much because people rightfully were complaining that frost spells just make you pretty much immobile, which is not a fun thing to deal with.
Right. Yep. And just so I'm not ignoring anybody, yeah, Ghoul, I'm taking your tip down. Advanced movement was a big thing he was talking about. Him and Breakfast were talking about that. Claudio said that he wished there was some kind of the bestiary books that talked about enemy resistances and stuff. Also, enemies having true resistances. Slashing skeleton should be hard task despite being a 75 one-handed. Yeah, I don't know
So I
about that.
on the 3bftweaks website I recently made, it
Mhm.
shows you all the
Yeah.
resistances of enemies.
Yeah.
So I do have a bestiary kind of just on the website, not in game.
I should have included the website in the description of this video. I'll add it in maybe.
Definitely reference that on your beginner guide.
Yeah, yeah. So if anybody's gone and watched my Requiem guide, I linked a bunch of stuff in the description, and I'll do the same thing for this. There's the website name if anybody just wants to type it in. I just posted it here on my little WordPad.
For the, I'm also making I'm taking from another mod, which is Open Perms, of Pestle and Mortal, which is basically a portable alchemy system, but it doesn't, it has a debuff on the potions you can make. It's like 25% worse or something, but you can make potions on the go. So if you find a whole bunch of ingredients, but you're kind of over encumbered, or you find a few things and you realize, oh, I need a few healing potions, then you can make it while on the go, which is, I thought, pretty cool. And for a slight debuff of 25%, I think it'll change up how alchemists are played, uh, a little bit at least.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Like when you're in the middle of a dungeon, you're like, oh shit, I ran out of the poisons that I needed, and it's like, you know, I need them. It's better to have them if they're even if they're 25% weaker.
Exactly, you could still use them.
Yeah.
So I thought
and
that was cool.
Duck always being the like police, appreciate it. Good idea on the economy. What's up, Mr. B? Yeah, I think.
So
go ahead.
another thing I need to definitely address, because I just remembered. So let me address the three biggest complaints. So one is the leveling system, which we talked about earlier, so I'm not going to repeat that. Two is the stamina system. So Requiem already is a huge change from vanilla stamina system, and people need to go in realizing that it's not, 3 tweaks isn't a brutal stamina system compared to Requiem. It's just different. There's, as a noob describes, there's a tempo to combat, which people don't understand too much because some of the mechanics are a little obscure. So you lose stamina while attacking for the duration of the attack. So it scales with the length of the animation. So a sword attacks a lot quicker, especially with perks. It's going to cost less stamina than a warhammer, which is slow. Not to mention, two-handed weapons also get an extra stamina debuff. So depending on the weapon, your stamina might drain a lot, especially in the beginning. So there are a lot of ways to combat this. Several races and standing stones and blessings offer ways to combat this, like the new poison resistance enchantment in alchemy will reduce your attack's stamina drain by like 20%. That's one way, for example. I know the thief stone does something similar. Iron weaponry does something similar. It's like 20% attack cost reduction.
And wood weapons, I believe.
And wooden are, I think, 30%. So there's a ton of ways which may not be obvious, but you still can't just like swing your sword around as a novice at level 1 and expect to just have infinite stamina. There's a tempo in that you need to have good stamina in order to use your attack a lot, and good regen. And another thing is that what I see people do, and I see Meech do this, and I see Veggie do this. You don't do it as much, Greed, but I've seen it a couple times. You swing your sword so much, and then you go to very low stamina. And at low stamina in Requiem, you have lowered movement speed and lower attack speed. In 3 tweaks, besides that, you also have lower stamina regeneration at low stamina. So
Right.
it punishes you twice. So it punishes you, slows you down, it makes you attack slower, it makes you block a lot worse, and it makes your regen slower. So if you do get into low stamina, you are in a bad spot. So there's reasons not to go to low stamina. You kind of want to get a couple attacks in, wait around a little bit, move back, bait an attack out, punish. But it's not just attack, 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 get low stamina, wait a minute, and then attack, attack, attack. There's more of
Yeah,
a
I remember even
difference
in
that you get
just
used to.
vanilla Requiem, low stamina was a problem, and then 3 tweaks really kind of added to that. I remember even in my my beginner's guide for Requiem, I even mentioned, like, you know, you need to treat your stamina bar as your second health bar, or even just like, you know, your main health bar. That goes to 0, your health is going to 0.
Yep.
One
The
thing,
scariest thing. That's why early game, like, fortify stamina effects, stamina regen effects are so important. But people kind of just say, stamina, don't need it. But it's so vital that people don't realize how to treat it. And they necessarily don't want to learn it too. It's just like a new
yeah.
thing to get
So
used to.
we have the what's that called? The effect that negates all that stuff that we're just talking about.
Undying Breath?
Undying Breath. So Undying Breath is a really like cool effect, and those potions are really nice. But like kind of even before we had those, like a little advanced tip that most people probably didn't think of. is using a fortify stamina potion when you're at low stamina.
Oh, that's like a taking a surpassing healing potion. It's the same thing. I've
Yeah.
done that plenty of times. It saved me in like Dead as Dead runs
Yeah.
where I'm caught with no stamina, quickly pop a fortify stamina effect and run.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. So that's something a lot of people probably don't think of. But now that we have like the undying breath, that kind of like replaces that in a way.
And there's always
But
I love having ways to combat things. Like I don't like there
mhm,
only being one way that like, oh, I need this in order to do this. Like if you have low
yeah,
stamina, I like you could pop a fortify effect or use undying breath. Just any way that gives you more options as a player to affect your build and things, I like. So that's
yeah.
why I'm
Um,
always adding random new things.
I know we're in the middle of talking about the three biggest complaints, but since we're on the subject of stamina and just like low stats in general, there's
Yeah.
just two things I wanted to bring up. One thing I wanted to talk about was low health, and then also wanted to talk about the undying breath. I'm not sure how you can do it, but the undying breath enchantment definitely needs to be adjusted to
More
be
expensive.
no, to be related to the level of soul gem that you use. Like it's just like a flat value. Like, oh, you have the enchantment, you're good to go. Like as soon as you find that enchantment, like you find it on a heavy helmet and you don't need it, you
Yeah.
disenchant it and you use a petty soul gem and you put it on a ring and you have the full effect.
Yeah. It's kind of like water breathing in that regard where it's
Yeah, I don't
just
know
like
if there's a way to balance that or not.
I could take a look. I don't know offhand, so
Yeah.
that's maybe not.
It's one of those things that, sorry Meech, but I know you used a lot on your restoration build. Like it was just like insane on that build. It was really insane on my Ebony blade build, just because like you get the enchantment and you disenchant it, put it on a ring, put it on a helmet that you don't care about, whatever, and it's you always have it. You never have to worry about stamina again. The only thing is, of course, you take more damage when you're at low stamina still. One other thing I wanted to talk about was health. Now, I'm pretty sure vanilla Requiem does this. When you're low at health, you get lowered movement speed.
Yeah.
I think that's something that is a bit overkill. I don't know about you. Maybe this is a more of a personal opinion on mine, but it seems like when you're already low at health, why make it to the point where you can't even run away, you know?
I think the point of it is to not get in that situation because
Sure.
it shouldn't really happen often. Maybe early game if you get slapped by like an archer or something.
Yeah, archer, random fireball, you managed to survive, but now you just lost 20 points of movement speed and now you're for sure not going to run away.
I don't think it's as bad in 3 tweaks because it gives you the extra bonus health. It slows down
True.
enemy casters because oh my god, in Vanilla Requiem, fighting a mage is like a death sentence. They're just spamming that
Yeah.
fireball like a machine gun. At least now that they have a casting speed, it's like they have to wait a second in between fireballs. I think the situation maybe isn't the best, but it doesn't come up as often as Requiem, where you're fighting a saber cat, you're kind of dead.
Addressing beginner content, addressing nuisance things like this, people won't go out of their way to read about. Yeah, pretty much. I'm just gonna pull up the here's the beginner's guide. I'm gonna pull up the 3bftweaks Google site and I'm just gonna read it on
Right.
camera. That's what I'm
And
gonna
then,
do.
oh, the third thing that I hear people complain
Yeah,
about,
good.
and this is the part I feel most strongly, like really strongly about. So with leveling, I get it's not for everyone. I still think it's better. Stamina is just a different approach you need. But the last thing is the price of items. Not necessarily the gold vendors have. I know that people feel one way or another about, but the price of items. So I want to talk about alchemy, the potions you make and poisons, how they sell for 0 gold. I want to talk about how gimped your speech level is in the beginning, where you're barely making any money off vendors for items. Yeah, just those two things. So I think it's super RP friendly and also immersive how
Hmm.
it is. And other people are just so used to vanilla Skyrim, they kind of have a blind spot for this. So think about this. You're going to go to a liquor store, which is the alchemist, same kind of concept. You made some moonshine in your basement. Even if it's the best moonshine in the world, and you offer to sell it to the guy, you think they're going to buy it for anything? You think they even want that stuff? I mean, ideally, I would make the made potions not even sellable, but just think of it as no one's
Right.
going to
I mean,
want
making it
some
0 is essentially
sketchy.
making it unsellable.
Exactly. No one's going to want your sketchy potions you made. They have no idea who you are. Even if they do, even if they see you're a really good alchemist, they they can't trust you. And you're selling this to every vendor. It's not like you're
Mhm.
always selling it to an alchemist where they're going to be like, "Oh, I see that it's a good potion." You could sell it to the general store, and they're going to be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, I think like most from Vanilla Requiem, I was an alchemy abuser. I think a lot of us started there. I think it was hard for anybody to play Vanilla Requiem without abusing alchemy at least once. And coming over to 3 tweaks and seeing the changes to alchemy with the 0 potion cost, I thought that was the most genius thing I'd ever seen to balance alchemy. Even just like reducing the effectiveness of the potions or just the magnitudes, but the fact that you couldn't sell them, just that alone balanced the skill more than any other alchemy rebalance for Requiem ever did.
I think it's immersive. I think it makes sense. I think it's beneficial for gameplay. Alchemy is really strong. Making your own potions saves you so much money and just gives you bonus effects for nothing. Even with the
Mhm.
toxicity limit in place, it's still super beneficial. So
You
I think
should
alchemy's in a good spot.
you should make it to where when you have 100 speech and like all the selling perks, you can sell your potions for 1 gold apiece.
I should do that. And
It's
then
immersive.
one other part of the speech is like people will be like, "Oh, why do I sell this necklace for 10
Oh
gold,
god.
but if
Oh,
I
here we
want
go.
to buy it, it's like 1500 gold?" That doesn't make any sense. And that is also super immersive, RP friendly, and realistic, all in the same thing. If you've ever gone to a big um, market area, especially from a place you're not used to, especially if you go to another country. There's always going to be people, all the vendors, literally every single one, that are going to try to rip you off. They're going to try to sell this $10 item for like $60, maybe even more. Why? Because it works. They're going to get away with it. They're going to get money off of tourists or people not familiar with the item or the area or even the language, and they're going to scam the shit out of you. It happens every day, all the time, everywhere in the world. So when you have a level 5 speech character with no perks invested, you're like an idiot. You're a walking caveman trying to barter with this guy, and he's going to rip you off. And that's like, people don't like it because they feel like, oh, I wouldn't be ripped off. I know how much this is worth. But you're like a caveman trying to do this. You need to get more into the RP. I feel like people don't RP enough in that regard, where it makes
Mhm.
so much sense why they're not getting good money and why other things are so expensive. If you want something realistic, then
So I think
like you
that's more on the immersion side than RP per se.
I feel like if they RP as like what level their speech is, because people feel a cognitive dissonance with their character when they know that I'm not an idiot in real life, but my character is, and they kind of can't relate to that, which it's just another thing they have to get used to because
Mhm.
vanilla Skyrim doesn't punish you for having low speech. You get good value and you level up by trading, where in 3 tweaks your speech is never going to level up. So the problem will never be solved unless you put perks into that.
Yeah, personally, when I play, unless I'm playing a build that's already like super spread thin, I eventually level up speech a little bit. And it does make a big difference on the economy and how much you're buying things, even without perking it, just leveling it in general. So someone's kind of going on a tangent over here about bandit bounties. Um, I'm trying to decipher it. It looks like you're saying he's calling the rewards for bounties to be minimal. I think the bounty rewards are actually just fine because it's a good chunk of gold. You're already going to do it anyways, so I think that kind of just gives you a little bit extra.
I mean, it's wartime in Skyrim. There are so many bandits everywhere, and there's not enough soldiers and people. So there's probably all sorts of bandits where they're just, I mean, no one, where's this gold coming from? There's like hundreds of
Yeah,
bandits that they want killed. They can't afford them all. It's like
yeah, that makes sense too.
there's no actual like gold pool that like of resources that the city has. It's not like, oh, once you do two bandy bounded Jesus bandit bounties that they're not going to have enough gold to pay you for the third one. Like the money is essentially an infinite resource. So
Yeah, and then
I
the
don't
other
find it
side
being an
of
extra.
the other side of the bounty part of it is we also kind of get into the position when we're talking about Ftweaks as a mod of Requiem's the same way. There are add-ons that you typically play with. Like with Requiem, you would typically play with the Dragonborn DLC and patch, from Fozar's patch. And if you didn't, well, then you just didn't play Dragonborn. So since people are so accustomed to playing with like Fozar's patch just in general, with like, regular vanilla Requiem, it's kind of the reason why Dragonborn's never going to get patched officially through Requiem. It already has something. There's no point in remaking a mod that already exists.
Tweaking
and that's
it is one thing, but not remaking.
Yeah, tweaking it is one thing, and that's what you've done, which is great. I think that's good. I don't think you need to recreate it and say, oh, well, we don't need Fozar's patch anymore because I went and hand patched all of Solstein myself. Like, I don't think that's necessary. Do you think that's necessary?
I mean, unless you wanted to really spend the time of reworking it from the ground up, I don't think it's a bad mod. I think some things are...
No, I'm just saying, like, in general, the point I'm trying to make is that there's not a point in remaking a mod that already exists. So there's not really much of a point in editing the value that you get from the bandit bounties when we already have Talus's mod, which I'm going to bounty, what is it called? Do you remember that off the top of your head? It's like bandit bounty redone or something like that.
Bounty quests redone.
Yeah, bounty quests redone is a mod that was made by one of the members in our community, Talus, who the way the mod works is you can go in the MCM menu and you can change the difficulty level of the bounties that you're doing. So if you feel that all bounties should give more, then you can raise the difficulty of all of them, essentially giving you more gold for your reward. So that's something that I don't think Ftweaks really needs to touch. Yeah, Mike, it's a really cool mod. I really highly recommend it because there's a lot of customization you can do. The only thing I wish you could customize in there is maybe like the amount of insights you get, and maybe I can mention that to Talus, and maybe that could be something added on in the future. See what else we're missing in here. What's up, Kurt? How's it going, man? Yep, I remember. Sebi says hi, Forn.
Hey, Sebi. So what a lot of people like is not having to do quests and rather just have the loot and money come from chests and bandits.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's
you're saying, Mike, is kind of, I mean, there's pros and cons of doing it both ways. Like some people just want to do the quests, but it's kind of hard to balance some of the quests because there's so many, and a lot of them do give like an insight or two, but a lot of them, like, people would rather not be forced into quests because it kind of limits your reward for exploration. Like, sure, if you do a quest and you want to be rewarded for it in some way, and you will be rewarded by completing the dungeon associated with the quest, where if you're in the opposite situation where you're on the road, you see a random cave and you go to it and you clear it out and you're like, wow, I didn't get much from it. But if you had a quest to go there, you would get a lot more. It works if you keep most of the XP associated with the dungeon and not the quest, because
I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like the 3bftweaks design philosophy.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like a core design of 3bftweaks of just like, because in vanilla Requiem, I mean, of course you're getting your level up through your skill usage, but rewards from chests were complete ass. You would go through Halted Stream Camp and have to fight a trickster and 2 orcs, one pretty high level, one like decent level or whatever, and you manage to get through them. And in vanilla Requiem, you don't even want to use the traps against them because you don't get experience for that. So you manage to get through that encounter and you open the boss chest there and you get like 43 gold and a healing poultice. There's no gratification from that reward. There's just nothing feels good about that. 3bftweaks makes it to where, I get like a big chunk of gold, handful of healing potions, maybe even like an enchanted item. Like, it's just the reward, the dopamine of opening chests in 3bftweaks is just so much better.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always making changes to chests, so I'm going to add more to ancient Nordic ones. I'm probably going to add more to mages and stuff. So it's always a work in progress, but I feel like in general, a lot of the chests feel good. I know one big complaint is all the master chests, but that's not an easy fix. So work in
Yeah.
progress.
Claudio says problem is that most quests don't give meaningful rewards like cool weapons, spell, armor, or something cool. I think some gold coins, whatever's random loot. I think actually something you've done recently, which is kind of making your level lists in your own way, I thought was really cool, is actually the mysterious chests, the loot boxes as we call them. Like I just killed like a slighted on one of my characters today, and he had a mysterious chest on him, and I got a spell that was actually somewhat relevant to my build, and I thought it was pretty cool. Now that's not quest related, but maybe some quests could give more unique items, or not necessarily unique items, but just more unique rewards rather than just gold and insights. But you have to go in and you have to edit a lot of quests, so you kind of just have to work with vanilla framework there. Yeah, and like Ghoul said, if all quests had unique loot, then it would be overkill. But the current unique loot feels great. Yeah, and then there's also mods like Ghoul Smasher makes mods that add in unique bandits. He adds in new dungeons, and while they're not quests, they are locations that you can go to, and you can oftentimes find a unique weapon or nice armor that was kind of like hand placed or whatever. There's a lot out there that doesn't have to be tied to quests, because I mean Skyrim doesn't really handle quests very well.
I do have a decent amount tied to quests. I'll give some examples. So you get the dragon hide robes through the main quest. You get the enchanted blade armor through the main quest. You get
so I think that's kind of like hand play stuff. I think what people are kind of talking about is like they get some random quest from someone in town and they do it and they come back and they get like nothing for it. Not necessarily finding something along the way during the quest.
Gotcha. I mean, there are incentive reasons to do quests. It's just kind of realistic on doing the quest. So Amren will give you gold and a level up. If you gather 10 cabbages for the farmer, it's like, you're not going to get anything, but also
so like one random like little quest that comes to mind for me, which is this is a vanilla feature, is when you go through I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's one of the dungeons in Riften, one of the bandit bounties. It's like right next to where the Dawn Guard entrance is, up there at the top of the hill.
Yeah, with the waterfall.
Yeah, with the waterfall. Yeah, when you go through there and
by that waterfall.
Yeah, there's a dead, like you open up a pull chain and you go through back there, and there's Leifner's body. It's just a dead guy. If you just activate his body, it gives you a little miscellaneous quest of report his body to his wife. So you go and you report the quest, or you report to his wife, and she gives you a random enchanted weapon. I don't know if you knew that.
I thought she gave gold, but okay.
No gold. It's just a random enchanted weapon. So I guess, maybe it would probably require a lot of editing though to go through and find all these random miscellaneous quests like that could potentially add like, oh, here's a random enchanted item, create leveled lists for all that stuff. So that could be a lot of work, but I could see that being something that adds a little more interesting value in completing miscellaneous quests. Broken Helm Hollow. Thanks, School.
I feel like there aren't too many situations where the quest reward just sucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, most miscellaneous quests aren't necessarily difficult, so
exactly.
There shouldn't be good rewards for those. Like even like Leifner's body is.
It's easy to get to. It's 3 bandits in there. They're sleeping in the beginning. You could lure them out. I mean, it's not the easiest place because they have the 2 archers on the outside, but it's definitely not a hard bandit dungeon.
Yeah, and Claudio, I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. It could just be an iron sword with a random stamina enchantment, but I've also gotten like a dwarven axe with absorb magicka on it before. So it just depends on your luck. But you can't just have it be the same reward every time. Because while I personally like some of the hand play stuff and having like routes to pick for my builds and the characters and like
all the time,
I don't want it to be like I'm always going to go here. So like one armor set that's getting adjusted because it's like that is the Templar set. I feel like anytime you play a heavy armor character now, you have to rush that set because it's just so good. But now it's going to be changed. So now it's going to be still good, but just not like, oh, I need it for every character.
Yeah, I love getting feedback from people because everyone plays in different ways, and it's like a conversation you need to have. Like, I definitely play differently than Greed, which Greed plays differently than me, and we both play differently than other people. So having all sorts of feedback, we don't always agree. There's plenty of times where we don't agree on things, but there's always like a middle ground to be found where everyone is happy. Um, how was everything?
Ghoul,
Most of the
poor
things.
Ghoul. Ghoul said, "Is Templar being changed? I made that change you asked for." Yeah, it's okay, Ghoul, because it's still going to be a good armor set. So I think having something there guarding it is still going to be good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I think putting 20 bandits in the small cave is annoying. I'm sad every list is doing it. Maybe it's just me. So I don't know about every list because I've only played a few and none recently. But La La Land and Arcade's Commandment at least are lowering the hand placed bandits. It's so hard to check every single place just through
Yeah.
expert. You're only gonna have to experience it while playing the game. So I think in the next releases of those mod lists, it'll be a lot more fine tuned and a lot less insane. I mean, that's unrelated to 3bftweaks because it doesn't add any bandits anywhere. But
Yeah. I think sometimes it's hard to differentiate the mod lists from 3bftweaks because the two mod lists, of course, RSK Commandment and La La Land. I think those are the only mod lists that use 3bftweaks, right?
well,
Besides
TSO does,
the
but it's
TSO doesn't
own
exist,
modified
so let's be
version.
real.
It's so old. It's not like we'll see what he does in the next version, but it's not worth
Yeah,
talking about now.
if he does, but
Yep.
we're talking about the main ones that people play currently, updated. Sometimes people don't even realize what's a mod list feature and what's a 3bftweaks feature, and they just associate that this mod list is 3bftweaks. All the difficulties I'm facing is because of 3bftweaks.
Yeah.
So those things like the bandit spawns, those things are mod list specific. So those will get addressed in those mod lists, but have nothing to do with 3bftweaks as a whole.
Correct. It just so happens I make a mod list and also the mod, but
Correct. Yeah, if you didn't make a mod list, it'd be completely different. I feel like, I feel like the association would be a little more obvious, or the differences, I should say. But the on the bandit talk, or like the increased spawns in general, I know Forn's been working on it, Lala's been working on it, Ghoul Smasher's been working on it.
everyone has been working on it. Yeah.
Everybody's been working on it, and I think it's going to end up in a good place. The nice thing about the bandit spawn mod is that it does kind of detract from the monotony of just, knowing everything, like all the common places, but might also maybe steer you away to try other locations because it's like, well, I don't want to do this one because it's got too many bandits. So let me try to find another place that I'm not usually doing. I myself personally, there's a lot of bandit dungeons that I run consistently, like the whole Riverwood to Whiterun. But if those places have, more bandits, then some of the other smaller places in Riften might be more worth doing now. So there's kind of merit in there on that end, but also places like Broken Ore Grotto having 40 bandits to fight at once, that's a bit much. So things like that will get edited, just need more time. Yeah, more bandits, more insights. Yeah, it's true.
And Mike said, just want to thank you guys, all the Requiem 3bftweaks. You guys are amazing people. Each time it gets better. Yeah, so we all appreciate the thank you. It would probably mean the most to, I mean, everyone has their own unique thing. So Greed, if you subscribe to him, always comment on the videos. For the Nexus mods, if you could endorse them, leave a comment saying what you liked about it. Just things like that make it more appealing to people. Or, I mean, just having a comment saying whatever you think is good about it. Even an endorsement really helps. Whatever you think would be beneficial. But Reddit posts, because I feel like YouTube is very good about 3bftweaks. Discord is pretty good. I feel like Reddit is a place where the 3bftweaks doesn't penetrate as much. There's a little bit of a little sentiment of dislike on there for some reason. There's a few people. So having Reddit posts just about conversations about 3bftweaks is always good to have.
Yeah, Reddit. I think Reddit's a slippery slope for 3bftweaks. I almost I don't want to start a Reddit, a brand new Reddit just for 3bftweaks because it'd take a long time to grow, I feel like.
No,
but at the same time, I feel like we feel so segregated from Requiem in general on that Reddit.
I mean, there's so many changes of so many things in Requiem and 3 tweaks that are exactly the same. It's just there's a lot
But I
that's
think
different
I
too.
think one of the biggest things though, and maybe this is my personal opinion, maybe I'm like reading this wrong. I kind of feel like Requiem as itself is dying, and the only thing keeping it afloat is 3bftweaks. I don't know if that's true. Feels that way. I feel
Oh,
like
with
there's
the
a lot more
popularity
interest in
of
3bftweaks than Requiem.
I mean, Wildlander is still like the most popular Requiem list, so
Mm-hmm.
and their
I think
Discord is
if
still
it wasn't
huge.
for Wildlander, it would be like only 3bftweaks. But it could also just be a product of me not keeping up with that specifically.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty doing
Is
pretty
it
well.
okay?
Yeah.
Yes, Strictly Wicked said I got told 3bftweaks is a waste of time on Reddit. Yeah, I honestly think we should probably separate ourselves from that Reddit and eventually maybe make our own, because it feels not good to post there. Like I haven't posted there in I don't know how long because of that.
The Reddit
On the
itself, I think, is dying because not many people use the Requiem Reddit,
yeah
but it's
yeah
never been that active, so it's not. I guess it's not dying, but Requiem
yeah
itself as a mod, no, I think it's still doing pretty well.
yeah. And you're talking about how to support different creators in our community and to show support, and obviously subscribing on YouTube is free, so that's a pretty easy thing to do. But if you do want to support somebody, in the description of this video I have linked Forn's Patreon, so if you would like to subscribe to Forn's Patreon, you can go do so there. If we get to 666 patrons, what was going to happen again? There was something. I think we're getting, was it face reveal or feet pics or something like that?
I think you said face reveal. And
Oh,
I was
okay,
like,
face reveal. Gotcha,
if I
gotcha.
get that much, I mean, I just made it and I wasn't even advertising it, but
Yeah. So if you would like, if you have the extra money and you want to support the mod list, this way Forn can eventually become like Dylan Perry and be a full-time Requiem modder. Feet pics and all sub. We need 666 school.
Sure, feet and face pics, no problem.
That, or you just need to open up a Mirac tier that's just like 2,000 a month.
Jesus.
We're gonna get Forn to work on this mod full time.
Lala
When does Forn based boss?
When is there going to be a Fornication based boss? So there's a few bosses in there. There's Ossoberg, which is a derivation of Ogre Boss. There is a
I thought you were Ferna.
So I put myself in as Ferna
That's what I thought.
something, and it's like
It's just Ferna.
it's a boss in the DLC one for the Valley. What's it called?
Yeah, it's in the. If you didn't say anything, I would have been able to remember it.
Forgotten Valley.
Yeah, it's in like the Forgotten Vale.
Yeah, Forgotten Vale.
Mind blown. Lala, you didn't know that? Oh my god. Lala out here making 3bftweaks mod list, doesn't even know about Forn's character.
And yeah, there's another secret boss I'm not going to talk about. It hasn't been found yet, so
I won't mention anything. Although somebody did recently on stream beat a certain somebody that should have led him there, and they did not notice anything, and I didn't notice anything from their stream, so that's all I'll say for that.
I'll check in the thing, but
You know who I'm talking about?
Mitch, maybe?
No. Vulgar recently beat the final boss.
I did see that he was on what was he on? He was on Mirac, I saw the other day.
Yeah, he beat Osserberg as well. I don't know if it was all permadeath. I think he only plays permadeath though, so I'm assuming so. Hold on, we're starting to get a lot of comments pouring in now. Claudio was an Anai boy before he started watching my videos. Nice. Yeah, no hate to Anai. I think Anai has some really cool like build synergies with his mods, but I find it's like really complicated. The Reddit guys hate it for some reason. Some guys there have very strong opinions. Yeah, the Requiem Reddit is difficult for us to be a part of, I feel like. Normal Requiem's having, I guess I'm just so like far gone from regular Requiem and keeping up with it that I just didn't realize. I just feel like on even just, I guess it's because my main source of keeping up with things is Discord, and I just don't see a whole lot of activity on regular Requiem aside from like Nox. And at this point, Nox Rim is its own thing. It's not even Requiem anymore. It's like its own 3 tweaks. Oh, he died to Osberg a few times. Okay, I chimed in for like a second. Don't keep secrets between us. There's enough hint there. Yeah, 3B. I feel like 3bftweaks is popping off. It's very casual to say. Did I lose you, for? Are you still here?
I'm here. I'm just reading.
Okay, yeah.
Nox does add a lot to Requiem, and
yeah, I agree.
He's great to have in the community, especially because he's a good resource for things. He's been active for so long. I don't know how he just keeps pumping out content for years.
Mm-hmm.
He
So I
redoes his
guess
overhauls, and
I have one question. So because they're talking about like the bosses and stuff, like, you know, like Ferna and some of the other like unique NPCs that you've added, but it's really felt like Ghoul is kind of taken over on that, and you've even gone to Ghoul for whether it be suggestions or like, hey, can you do this for me, and adding enemies into Ftweaks. At what point, I guess it's up to Ghoul really, do you just incorporate his mods into yours, or, you know, like those unique enemies that he's added, when do those become like Ftweaks official?
Well, I feel like with his mods, I believe they could just be used with vanilla Skyrim. I could be wrong.
Right, but I'm saying, like, you know, yeah, he has an Ftweaks patch, but when, you know, like, I can't remember the Imperial's name that's at the little camp next to Windhelm. Like, when does that just, you know, why not just make that a, like, this is just in Ftweaks now?
I feel like having a patch is okay. I mean, I could add it to like a recommended mod section, because like I recommend small tweaks, but I'm not adding small tweak. I mean, it's not open perm, so it's a little different, but I feel like having it as a patch is okay. Not everyone may
Mm-hmm.
not want new dungeons per se,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't really super within the scope of Ftweaks.
Yeah, I was
Especially
just
with like lighting overhauls. Like I don't want to be responsible for patches for lighting
sure.
overhauls.
I guess the
For
main thing I was wondering
overhauls.
is Ftweaks ever adding more? Oh gosh.
Dungeons, probably not. As
Discord.
far as NPCs,
Yeah, NPCs. I was wondering if NPCs were ever getting added into Ftweaks, like more NPCs.
unless I had a specific idea for an NPC, no plans really. I mean, if Google wants to add some, I'm not going to say no, but
Mm-hmm.
I myself don't have. Only if something comes up or there's a reason to add an NPC, not just to add
Because
people like Ron the Crow, unless it makes
we
sense.
we need a cracked, fast swinging red guard boss based on you know who.
We have Ferna for that.
Well, we need a one-handed, enchanted sword wielding. You know who I'm talking about. We need a boss for Lala. We need a secret Lala boss.
That could be done.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like because he has the definitive build that he's well known for. Just have a red guard, you have to fight his Blade Fury build. Could you imagine having to fight that?
His name would be Alal, A-L-A-L.
Alal.
Alal, yeah.
Alal. Oh, that's funny. Secret boss, Greed Gaming, Dragon, and Soul Cairn. I don't know. I don't even see. I feel like it'd be harder to make one based on me or like Ghoul, or I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Lala's well known for his one build.
So, Greed, regarding the video you plan on making, what information do you want to go over in that video that you might need to know that you don't know already?
Well, I mean, I got the kind of brief rundown of the history. It's kind of like I was just curious where 3bftweaks all started and how it came about. At what point? So I guess during the old days of like when Banana was involved and, you know, made btweaks. At what point did, because btweaks was mostly bug fixes.
It was.
And then
it's a fair amount of bug fixes and quality of life changes and some like nerfs and rebalances. So I say it's 50-50. But Banana also did a lot of work in Ftweaks. Like he made a greater insight system.
Yeah.
Scratch completely, which is like a pretty big work he had to do. And he made a few other changes for me too. So he wasn't gone by the time btweaks was finished, but he started doing less and less, and eventually by the time I was decently into Ftweaks, he was no longer involved, but he still helped a lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering to see how involved was Banana after btweaks ended, or like why did Ftweaks start? So if I feel like, 3tweaks is the main mod. btweaks came about to fix a lot of things after a nid was done.
Yeah, nothing
And
really new in terms of btweaks. A few
that's what I was going
things
to say.
technically
btweaks
new, but
didn't introduce new content. I felt like that was more ftweaks. Ftweaks,
more
of
of it,
course, has
yeah.
done a lot of balancing since, but I feel like ftweaks was mostly content related.
So, I mean, early Ftweaks was just rebalance changes. So my first patch was I nerfed Become Ethereal, I nerfed Slow Time, I buffed Redguard and Bretons. And then the couple next updates were just fixing a couple bugs and nerfing two-handed. So in the beginning, it was all nerfs and buffs, and then slowly started adding a couple things, changing a couple things, very poorly, by the way, because I was a terrible modder in the beginning.
Mm.
But and then eventually, Ftweak started patching 3tweaks and Fozar's Dragonborn for changes just within its own ESP, and then as time went on, versions went on, I was adding new content, new spells, new weapons, new
Yeah. So
armors.
what initially, I guess, drove you, or when did you decide, like, I think balance is fine now. Like, I want to start like adding stuff in, or like adding more to builds and adding in new spells, adding
Once
in
I
new
got comfortable with
armors.
modding, because in the beginning I didn't know how to do anything. All I knew how to do was
Mm.
like edit like numbers. So the first few changes were like nerfing the magnitude of slow time. So that's like simply changing one number for the magnitude and then one number for the shout cooldown. So
Right.
super,
Right.
super simple things. But
Mm.
once I started poking around more, getting more confident, I was able to actually make new things. And so the more I progressed in modding, the more I was able to do, because my imagination was always there. I just never had the ability, and I still can't do a lot of things. Like I can't script, I can't do much with meshes and textures,
Right.
but I got a lot more comfortable with the scope of what I can do.
Mm. Yeah, because I'm thinking that, like, the way I like want to structure the video is probably like have the opening of the video kind of like talk about like what is 3bftweaks. I kind of did something similar with Requiem. Like, you want to start a video, if somebody just sees the thumbnail and they see Requiem and they see 3tweaks, they're like, I've seen that name 3tweaks, but I don't know what 3tweaks is. So they click on my video. I don't want it to be like, here's how you get good at 3tweaks, and it's like, I don't even know what 3tweaks is. So I kind of wanted to start like, where did 3tweaks originate from? And now I kind of have to talk about AZT, because AZT was kind of like the initial. And do you know, where you weren't really around when Apple was making AZTweaks originally, were you? Or
Not
like,
much, no. I kind of came.
yeah.
I always knew about it, but I was like AZT. I don't know what that is. So
Mm-hmm. That's so weird, because I mean, did he just like not really post on Reddit or anything at the time?
no,
Because
it
I
was
think
it
I
was
was,
it was popular enough on Reddit. I just always stayed away from those posts because I didn't know anything about it.
gotcha. I'm trying to remember that far back if I was really even involved on Reddit. And I think that time frame might have been, so whenever I really wish I could just see what version of Requiem was out whenever he first started, because I know he made it for 1.9.4 to start, but we might have been on 2.0 for that at that point. And I remember when
I
2.0
don't
came
know if
out, I was not
2.0
playing
was
Requiem.
released. I know eventually 2.0 was released and they stayed on 1.9.
Yeah, I felt like 2.0 was a disaster.
It was definitely a point of contention.
It was. There was a lot of changes there, and I think at that point we were so used to Requiem. We had everybody who was playing Requiem at the time was like, "Okay, I've adapted. I've learned Requiem," and then they changed so much in 2.0. 1.9.4 felt like the golden years of Requiem.
I don't know how long 1.9.4 was the newest version, but it feels like that was like the longest version around. Even
Oh,
though
for sure. And I think one of the biggest parts that played into it is all of the add-on mods that people are playing
yes,
with, is the patches.
Mine Arcana, Behind the Curtain, AZT, and there were so many other mods like
Nothing was updating to 2.0, so everybody stayed on 1.9.4.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. There's not enough porn on stream for you right now.
Ooh.
He said just chatting and throwing up.
So I'm still working on the new website, as you know, but I think that's a good way to start because I mean some parts are a little bit lacking, but I feel like I've done a good job, maybe a little too much info in some of the areas, but
So that's actually a good point to bring up. How can the community help you update the website to be current information? Like, how do you want us to contribute that? Are you wanting us just to, maybe you want to have a new channel on Discord and saying like, website update stuff or something, and we're just like posting like already formatted information so you can copy and paste it? Or
I
how do
feel
you want
like
to go
the
about that?
easiest way is to one, give specific feedback about what should be changed. So, for example, I have a section about the economy, and if someone reads it and says, "Well, you're not really talking about this or this or that," then maybe say what I need to talk about, or even write up something for me to copy paste or slightly edit if I need to. Otherwise, you could just fill in missing information. For example, I'm planning on including every single perk and their description on the website, but that takes a fair bit of time to get that in Xedit or in game if someone wants to type it up. So any contribution that's either missing you think could be changed, so it could just be a copy and paste text thing that I could put in, or specific feedback. It's kind of, I'd rather not give open perms to people, especially if I don't know them, to just edit the website. So I'd
Right.
rather
That's
go with
that's why I
just
assumed we're not doing that. So that's why I was wondering, how do you want people to give you this information or this
just
type up?
they could Discord message me or ping me somewhere, however they
Hmm.
feel like is easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't know if maybe you wanted to open a channel for it, just like
Uh,
website additions.
it depends if people really start doing
Yeah.
it. Like if it
If it
gets
was,
popular, sure, but if it's just a
yeah.
couple people, just a DM is fine.
Yeah, for sure. So if anybody is willing to help out, we do have the 3bftweaks website, the Google site that I have right here, a little link to it. I can actually post it in chat. I could have done that earlier. I don't know why I didn't. Formatted information, pretty good one, HS. But yeah, if anybody wants to contribute, just, look through there and see what's on there now and see what's out of date, what needs to be updated, type it up, put it in like a text document. You can send it over to them or just copy and paste it onto Discord and just DM him or post it on 3tweaks discussion, somewhere around there. Just because I think that's going to be also pivotal in the video that I'm working on. Is it'll be really nice to have a website that people can go to that prefer to read about stuff. Because like when I did the Requiem beginner's guide video, I did not go into detail on a lot of things like race specific attributes or whatever, and like
I
standing
feel like
stone
I feel like
abilities.
that you don't need that. Like a general
Yeah.
overview is enough,
Yeah.
and you can tell
Yeah.
people, well, these are the pros and cons. And I think theory crafting is a big thing. So,
Yes.
oh, you know what? Something you might want to talk about?
Hmm.
Maybe um the scope of what the mod aims for between Requiem and 3tweaks and btweaks, Ftweaks. Because like I feel like Requiem goes for a specific vision, and I think 3tweaks and Ftweaks, btweaks is slightly different than that.
Hmm.
Like for example, we cater at least allow people to play permadeath. We don't necessarily care about if things are super immersive lore friendly, but I think gameplay takes a priority. And then following that, things like immersion and a lore friendliness come into play. But I think gameplay comes first, at least in Ftweaks. I think I try to make gameplay come first, and as long as it's super not contradicting anything else, I feel like that's the most important thing. If people have a good time playing the game.
Yeah, I just made a little note. You probably see it on my stream. Just saying that the direction of Ftweaks is more balanced for the gameplay and like even permadeath side of things over, in quotations, immersion or lore friendliness, because I don't think it steps too far out of bounds. But I'm actually personally, I'm a little confused with the direction of Requiem as a whole. I guess it, because at the end of the day, it's still a game, and having things just blatantly broken like alchemy, I don't understand how that hasn't been fixed yet. Just in vanilla Requiem.
It is very good for sure.
Yeah,
Also, don't because people are so conflicted about permadeath. Don't like when you're talking about it. I don't know. Because permadeath is an important part of the community, but it's definitely you don't need to play permadeath. It
I agree.
adds something to it, but definitely try to tell people that it's not for everyone and it's fine if you don't play it. It's just some people enjoy it more. It's a part of the challenge or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
not necessary. Like
Yeah, I took it out
plenty of
of the
people
more
play both.
balance. I just put more balance for gameplay, and permadeath not necessary.
And plenty of people play permadeath and also don't play permadeath because
Yeah,
they enjoy different things of both. Like they'll want a more relaxed playthrough where, some maybe they'll play limited lives or even unlimited lives. And there's so many
yeah,
ways to do it. There's no right way or wrong way. So I hate when people say, "Oh, you need to play permadeath with 3 tweaks because it's balanced for it." But no, it's just
yeah.
however you think is more fun.
Um, Another ghoul. Yeah, for sure. I don't think 3 tweaks detracts from role play or immersion in the slightest. Does not.
The only thing that some people don't like as much is like they'll feel like, "Oh, I'm using my sword. I want to get points in one-handed." So they feel a little disconnect, but it's no different than like playing Fallout where you kill somebody, however you kill them, you get XP and then you could use that XP on whatever perks you want. So like no one says that they have a hard time role playing in Fallout because of the XP system, but because it's in Skyrim and Skyrim originally does it differently, then they feel a little disconnect. But um, it's no different than Fallout or other games where there's no XP by doing things, right? Think of any other game, like you just get XP from killing stuff. That's what 3 tweaks is. It's just
Yeah.
people are
Skyrim is
so
the weird one.
blinded by the potion part. But like think of Diablo, like you're getting XP from killing stuff. Dark Souls, you get XP from souls, which is from killing stuff. Like
Hmm.
no one says souls are unimmersive. It's just within the universe. We just don't
Yeah, you
we call them
find
potions of
souls just on
insight.
the floor in Dark Souls.
Yeah, potions of insight. Just maybe not the best name. Like maybe there could have been a more lore friendly name we could pick or even
XP
change it
bottle
to.
1.
There's plenty of ways we could do it, but potion of insight it works.
I'm gonna make a patch that renames potions of insight to jungle juice.
I named them enemas of insight as a joke in one of my mod list releases and then forgot to change it back for a few versions. So people were just using enemas of insight.
What you what you should do is you should change the mesh and the name to skooma and like have the description say the same thing, so you have to like guess which one's skooma, which one's not. Am I drinking skooma or am I leveling up right now? I don't know.
Can't even tell.
But no, I feel like this is a good amount of information to get started on. Yeah, and I guess you kind of spoke on it a little bit. What are some of the things that you would like to see or would like to not see in a beginner's guide or just like a introduction? I guess that's probably a better concept for this. It's introduction to
So
introduction to 3bftweaks.
what you should mention, I think, three big parts. So, oh, you have it here. I'm just reading your thing. Leveling, stamina, price of items. I think that's a big thing. Um, what else are definitely things you need to touch on? Uh, Let me see. I think build variety um, is another thing, and then approach to the world is another thing. Like not needing to go to bandits or needing to go to bandits is another thing because people are just used to farming animals, but they could still do that. Um, and just of course using the birth sign and blessing right from the beginning, picking perks that make sense for combat. I think early games specifically, it's super important to know. Well, now that I've added weapons to the magic effects, you could read what like weapon traits are. So I think reading those weapon traits, especially like with stamina, iron weapons, that's super important to know ahead of time. So like it once you get a steel weapon, it's like, maybe I won't use steel yet because it costs too much stamina.
Yeah, I'm so glad you went back to the trait system, but also keeping the, what do you call them in the smithing tree?
The whatever they're called, traits or whatever add-ons.
Yeah, like the smithable traits, the
Yeah.
tempering traits, what are you going to call those? Yeah, I like that it's like kind of like a mix of the two. So when you actually, I didn't even think about this. When you smith like the, I guess you still keep the initial material trait. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes. So, for example, if you make an aerodynamic iron sword, you get less stamina cost from the iron and also less stamina cost from aerodynamic.
That
It's
is, I think
multiplicative,
that is
so
a
it's
really
not
cool feature.
so it's not like tw 20% plus 20% doesn't equal 40%. It would be
Hmm.
20%, which equals like 80% total, and then
Right.
20% reduction from that, which would be 16%. So it'd be
Right.
64, not 60.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think that's I think it's really cool to make smithing feel more unique.
I like keeping smithing super. I like balancing everything. Like there's pros and cons of taking everything versus
Yeah.
in some mods, it's like there's not as many options as you'd like. So any way I can increase more options, like I have so many things on my to-do list, or not even to-do list, just like things I want to think about. I just don't have the time to do it. For example, um, now what's a good one I had? It's like a huge task. I'm just going through my things here. I have a thing I wanted to do where similar to how I made blood spells. So blood spells cost health and also a reduced amount of magicka to cast. I wanted to make a new type of spell that used a reduced amount of magicka, but also used stamina as a resource. And
Mm-hmm.
that is super not even close to even being theory crafted. It's just like, oh, I want spells that cost stamina and magicka. That's all I have on it basically. So that's maybe it'll get done, maybe it won't. But it's like more ideas of just different things you could do that are just for the sake of being different and unique that add to your gameplay. I like adding. So anytime I find ideas like that, sometimes people recommend it, sometimes other
Mm-hmm.
mods with open perms add
Yeah.
it. I try to just incorporate it somehow.
Right. We do have suggestions tab open in Discord. So if anybody has any cool ideas, they can always drop the idea there. If it's a stupid idea, we'll just ignore you.
People always drop stuff, and I just say I can't do that, I won't do
I'm just
that,
kidding. We're
or
not going to
I
ignore
just
you.
do it.
Ghoul's so funny. He said he just realized that Fornication sounds like fornication.
Yeah, Fornication is fornication.
That is pretty funny, though. Let's see. Does anybody have any other Ftweaks related questions? Future, past, present? Even Wolf just now realized it too. It's funny. Oh gosh. I'm trying to see if I can think of anything else.
That's weird. I don't see Wolf's comments when I'm on my chat.
On Wolfter, you see him on the stream?
I see him on your video,
Oh,
but he's not in my
change
actual chat.
live chat, or is it? Oh, you have it set to top chat or live chat?
I don't know. I didn't change anything.
When
I
you're like
probably
on the
I
stream, it's probably
did.
set to top chat. Change it to live chat.
You're right. That's weird.
So I think there actually is a way that I can set that as the default to be live chat, but it's like I have to click a bunch of buttons every time I go into stream, and I can't
That's
save it
annoying.
as a preset. So I just say fuck it. I should probably fix that though, because I usually have the chat on stream anyways.
Lala said you felt pessimistic about 3bftweaks public outreach. What do you mean by that, Lala?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Polio said, do you take inspiration on working on 3bftweaks from other RPGs? Not really. I mean, there are just so many good ideas from other games, but the first thing I do is think, what can I do within Skyrim? Because Skyrim, with my skills of scripting, which are literally zero, I can only do so many things. So if I have an idea, first I'll see, can I do it, or can I get someone to help me do it? And then if not, then it's not even worth considering.
You know, if we had enough discussion topics, we could turn this into like a Requiem podcast and invite other authors on occasionally. Could
That'd
you
be cool. I mean,
imagine we have Manuel come on?
you could do a real Q&A, like people like post their questions
Yeah,
and then
I
you
could
go
do
on
that.
stream and then
Yeah.
you're like the interviewer, and
We could get like Knox on here. Maybe we could get Apple on here so he can share some insight with his vision of AZT.
Shazda said, hi, for an early game in 3bftweaks is extremely brutal to the point of no fun. Like you can't progress without metagaming. It gets much better once you level up a couple times. So what do I think? I think we talked about this earlier a little bit, but I'll recap. We've made changes to early games so you could kill more wildlife and still get points for leveling up. And early game isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy at level 1, but between your blessing, your birth sign, your racial bonuses, food bonuses, soon to be a new snack system, alcohol bonuses I've added. I think there are certainly ways to combat every encounter that you come across, but it's not supposed to be easy. But I have added insights to animals, which I think was probably the biggest, I think solves the biggest complaint of people of feeling they need to go directly to bandits. Now, if you want, you could go ahead and kill all the wildlife everywhere, and then the wolves, mud crabs, whatever will give you insights. Not a lot, but it'll still get you started, which I feel like is the most important part.
Yeah, put some extra asterisks next to the approach to the world and how to start, and whether you're fighting bandits or fighting wildlife, and I guess quote unquote what the meta game is for level 1. And I'll kind of tie that into like the tutorial on easy level 1 areas on how to smooth out your progression when you're just starting into the world. And most people are playing La La Land or Arcade's Commandment, and I'm going to have to touch on that as well, since that's the majority of what people are playing when it comes to 3bftweaks. Not many people are making their own mod lists anymore, I feel like, especially a lot of the YouTubers.
More build avenues for non-combat POI rewards, but I don't know. I'm hesitant on doing non-combat POIs. Like, what deserves to get potions of insight that's not combat? So
Yeah,
I'm
at that
okay
point, you're just
with
talking about fetch
potentially
quests.
doing that, but I don't think fetch quests really do anything.
I think that's a waste of time and just boring for the most part. But yeah, it can be
5 seconds you need to take a breath by pressing X.
Yeah. Oh, you know what mod I'm surprised you don't have an Arcade's Commandment off subject real quick is that random heart attack mod.
It just that's a funny one.
So you should put that in the add-ons or whatever, like optionals, but like rename it something else.
Immersive health or something.
Yeah, immersive health needs or something like that. Yeah, Elski Taffer has a really impactful statement. Skyrim is combat. I think after playing the game for 30 years like everybody else has, the quests, and as janky as the combat is, it sounds weird to say that we're here for the Skyrim combat, but I mean that's really what it boils down to. The combat is the content. The quests are not really the content for the most part, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that.
You know, some of the quests are okay. I don't find myself replaying Skyrim for the quests.
Exactly. That's my point. We're not replaying this game for quests.
I love doing the quests. I love the quests. Like I played Skyrim more than probably anyone I know, but repeating the quests, I'm not doing them because I'm enjoying the quest so much. I'm doing them for the reward or to do something for the RP because my character wants to do that quest. But I'm not just going to be like, oh, I love the Bard's College quest line. Let me do that.
Right. I mean, even look at us like playing with mods like the at your own pace that like speed up the quests. Or
I mean, some quests are fun, like really fun. Like, oh, be like, I want to do this quest because I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, like I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I think that's good. But like nobody wants to go through the main quest like as many times as we have. Like we're just nobody does the Peace Council anymore. Let's get that real. You're not doing the Peace Council.
Peace Council is.
You get the fuck out of here with that shit. You do it one time and you never do it again.
I just leave my computer for a while or like go on my phone.
I set stage, dude. I console that shit every time. Lala, I like sitting in the War Council. Of course you do, Lala. Of course you do. You know, Lala, I want you to.
I thought it was so cool, like listening to all these like big figureheads across Skyrim coming together. Like it's so cool. It's just so long, also.
Yeah. Claudio said that the biggest L in Skyrim and literally is 90% is combat. I think 3bftweaks makes a great approach to combat. I think combat feels really fun in 3bftweaks. Now certain points in the game it's not necessarily fun. Like I think like early game Magicka is like, you know, playing a magic build early game feels kind of like, well, I guess I gotta cheese my enemy, but late game Magicka, like the whole time you're playing it is cheese. So that one's really hard to balance. But I feel like the melee combat is really really fun and rewarding, and definitely rewards better play. Of course, there's going to be cheese and there's going to be BS that happens. I mean, it's just we're playing a game from 2011. You know, got to be realistic. Lala's feelings are lost in translation.
It's hard to get irony over text also, so.
Yeah, of course. Peace Council is critical for the RP. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like this is kind of the part where, like, me talking about my personal feelings on, like, you know, the I'm here for the content of the combat. You know, that's what I enjoy, and that's the part of 3bftweaks I really like. And people say, oh, see, that's why it's not immersive. That's why it's not role play friendly. But it is what you make it.
Yeah, I feel like there's different pros and cons to everything. Or I feel like nothing in 3bftweaks inherently removes role playing or immersion. It's just what you make of it, and there's more than one way to look at it. Like, if you like the combat system and like uh, a lot of things, you might like different parts of 3bftweaks. If you just like more build variety and more potential to do things with your build, you might like this part of 3bftweaks. There's so many different aspects that have been changed. I feel like it has something for everyone. May not necessarily be everyone's cup of tea if they have super strong feelings about leveling or stamina, but I feel like a lot of people played like for a couple hours and were like, "Oh, I the stamina system sucks," and didn't like use all the ways to get around the stamina system. Then
Yeah.
they kind of just think it's bad.
Oh, I kind of I fell off the deep end earlier when we were talking about this. Oh gosh, let me cancel that. We were talking about like the starting items and stuff like that. Where did I find it at? Build synergies, somewhere around here. Oh, here it is. A lot of people, of course, are playing modless Lala's La La Land or Arcade's Commandment, so they're playing with the starting choices mod. And I feel like that also is an important one to talk about for the beginners portion of 3bftweaks. Like, if someone's nowadays, if someone sees 3bftweaks and they're like, oh, I want to try this 3bftweaks out, do you think they're just adding it to their own custom list? If they do, they're probably breaking things. Or are they just going to download La La Land or Arcade's Commandment? Chances are they're probably just downloading La La Land or Arcade's Commandment,
I
because
feel like Wabajek isn't as popular as you think there.
all right, so excuse me. I think in the world of Skyrim in general, yes. I think in the world of Requiem in general, probably yes. I think in the world of 3bftweaks, I feel like it's more popular than just normal lists, just because mostly because most of the, I guess, viewership for 3bftweaks is probably coming from YouTube. People seeing it on YouTube, maybe even like if someone posts it on Reddit about it and they post a YouTube video, most of the time people are going to see it as a YouTube video, and they're going to look and they're going to see most of the YouTube videos out there are La La Land or Arcade's Commandment. So they're probably going to download one of those lists. So I feel like starting choices is probably a big topic that I'll also kind of go over, and like what items you should be realistically picking up. And even if someone's playing without starting choices, these are going to be items they need to probably go out and find early on, like tonics and soups and stews and stuff like that. Some of that is obviously just like yeah, Helgen has a lot of that.
A whole bunch of starting items to Helgen chest. So if you do go the vanilla route, then you're going to be set for combat.
Yeah, for sure. But I think people need to know that what they need to take. They see tonic and they're like, oh, this is just like 0.8 stamina per second. Like, okay.
Adds up with the new snack system, that's going to be important. So
yeah. So also probably food, but also snacks. Yeah, I'll have to, of course, before I can even start working on this, I'm gonna have to wait till the next update comes out, play around with it, see how the next update changes and shifts the balance of the game, and if it adds, what it adds to the beginning of the character creation process and getting a build off the ground to see what's worth talking about and mentioning. "3bftweaks got rid of leveling up just one thing and spamming it."
Actually, it didn't.
I was about to say I disagree with that point, because I've definitely played the style of I'm just going to level up 1 or 2 skills and then you kind of just become OP pretty quick.
So one thing that is a problem but also isn't a problem is I feel like with the insight system, you kind of lose that part of vanilla leveling where
That natural progression.
The natural progression. So when I play, at least when I play Skyrim with the insight system, I try to level my skills kind of evenly based on what I use or what I want leveled up. I'm not going to pump something up to level 50 just to get a perk and leave everything else at level 5. But some people do, and that's how they want to do their build. And although that's not something I agree with and not something I enjoy, but it's just another option that people have. Sure, maybe it's not the most immersive thing that you're only leveling one thing up, but you have the option. I think as a player, having the option is a little bit more important sometimes. I mean, there's an MCM for options, and I feel like that isn't an option I need to gate. I need to prevent you from doing. It's just not something that I do, but some people like it. So
Yeah, I like the fact that 3bftweaks doesn't force you to level a certain way. I like the freedom that it has, because like of this comment I have here, 3 tweaks is what you make of it. You know, if you want that faster paced game, fuck, you could change the level requirements to 2 points per level if you really wanted to. You'd level insanely fast, you'd get through the game really quick. That probably could be fun for some people, could be boring for some, for most probably. But if you want to slow the leveling down, you can. If you want to force, if you want to impose restrictions on yourself, you can. No offense to anybody who asks this question. It's just like a pet peeve of mine. But when people ask, why is permadeath not in this list? Or is permadeath mod added on this list? Permadeath mod, you don't need it. You never need it. If you need the permadeath mod, then don't play permadeath, I guess. If you really need that mod at the end of the day.
In the beginning, because I was so like extremely tempted, because it was just yourself like preventing you from cheesing it. So like when a mod does it for me, I felt like a lot.
But there were ways to circumvent it anyways.
There are, but then like still, it's just like
the fact that you can circumvent it negates the entire mod altogether, in my opinion.
For me, it was different. I felt like when I'm using a mod, if I change things, like if I went out of my way to like delete files, then I would feel bad about doing that and not do it. But if I felt like if I used a mod, if I didn't use a mod and I died, I'd be like, that wasn't a fair death or something.
Mm-hmm.
Having the mod tell me it was a death was enough to make me not.
Yeah, that could work for some. I just always felt like, just impose it on yourself. Just play that way if that's what you want to do, and just stick to it. One nice thing is most of the people that are playing like on YouTube, we stream it anyways. So when our internet works. So when we're streaming, it's just like, well, I can't reload now. Obviously I'm live. So you see when we die, if we reload, then we're making it apparent that we're not playing permadeath. When can we expect? This is a very important question. When can we expect the next Fornication playthrough that goes all the way?
I've done plenty of tiny playthroughs for a few hours, but by the time I stream that, the next day I'm already modding things that make that playthrough saved would be corrupt. So once I stop modding enough, which never ends, so who knows?
Vulgar, I'm gonna have to remove your comment just so we can keep the mystery alive. I saw someone talking about this. Hold on. I mentioned a name. Let's try to keep that one on the DL.
They asked what my favorite class is. I'd say the biggest class I've done, my favorite one in vanilla Skyrim was I like mages and I like sneak a lot. My favorite one was a bound archer using conjuration summons. So bound bow, conjuration summons, so a lot of conjuration plus archery, and I wore like fine clothes on the character. So I was like a super fancy guy, but I would spawn my weapon and my thralls. So it was like a little sneaky guy.
Ghoul, I just saw your comment about a guide on building 3bftweaks list would be nice too. I will definitely not be the person to do that part because I do not build mod lists anymore. I only edit mod lists. It's a lot easier to edit than it is to build from the ground up. I don't even know what half of these fucking tools do nowadays, like synthesis. I had no idea. I had to ask Ghoul in DMs. I was like, all right, what do I click now? Like, I don't even know how to run this. So I wouldn't be able to do that part of it. Someone else would have to take the initiative on how to set up a mod list for 3bftweaks. I will mention in my like intro to Ftweaks that there are mod lists like La La Land and Arcade's Commandment, and where people can go to download those, because obviously that's like what I play on my channel. So there'll be information about that in the description of the video that I talk about, so people can do that. But if they want to build their own list, they're just gonna have to read the mod page. Forn, have you ever finished the 3 main quests with your own 3 tweaks?
3 main quests. Are you saying Alduin, Harkin, and Mirak? I've done Harkin with original 3 tweaks. I've done Alduin with original 3 tweaks. Mirak, I don't think I've done with 3 tweaks. And never mind my list. Once I started making my mod, I haven't done a real playthrough since then. It's been like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I have like well over 10,000 hours in Skyrim, besides modding, I imagine.
Yes, Taffer, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Meech did like full game serpent build, but doing it with a dagger is probably even better than like with a sword or whatever. Wolfter said 10k LOL. I don't want to pull up my Steam right now because it'll pull up on my main hold on, I guess I could probably do this. Yeah, here we go. Now I can pull up Steam. What's your Steam hours?
Not a lot, because I played a lot of LE and a lot of
yeah, what's your combined?
So for reasons, I don't have Steam hours on the LE version.
Oh, I gotcha. I have right
for SE.
On SE I've got 1563, and then on LE I have 2149. But
I have 2K hours on SSE, but I have way more on LE.
Yeah, I have also time on Xbox that obviously is not logged.
Right. I think I got to like high level 70s on my Xbox, one of my Xbox.
Gotta hide the cultured games. No, I just don't know what kind of information Steam posts.
Hentai games.
Does Steam post anything? Oh no, my name's on here.
It should post your username, I think.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't think I have. I'm just making sure there's not like personal information shown or anything. Okay, yeah, there's nothing on here. You guys can see. Well, there's my LE hours and then my SE hours. Screenshots. You guys can see screenshots. Oh no, not my screenshots. What other games is Fornication playing?
Who said that?
I did.
Old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
That's about it right now.
Ghoul Smasher asked, Greed Gaming real name leaked. Oh no, Ray. What day is Ftweaks' birthday?
I have no idea.
All right, Taffer asked, what's the next big thing for 3bftweaks? So I guess I'm going to add some context to this question. Excuse me. We have this big update coming out. I mean, like, is it like a big update? Like a lot of differences? Like obviously we talked about the vendor stuff.
I'd say the next update is large enough where I'd say it's a big update. It's going to be version 3.1.
So here's what we can expect from that. I can add to that. We're going to expect a big update with tons of bugs, and then we're going to find all these bugs. We're going to put them in bug submissions. Forn's going to release probably a few more updates after that. And then what do you think the plan is from there?
No plans. I literally just go with the flow of things. Like
Yeah, I know you pretty much do. I was just
I'll
curious.
hear about something, I will write it in my notepad of things I need to do. I will do them, and then a new idea will come along. I don't have any long-term plans really ever, because I'll just do them instead.
Yeah, I sometimes I think, especially in a hobby world, having long-term plans takes away from the fun of it.
What is the fourth tweak?
The fourth tweak is probably a guy in the rat way.
Be big.
The real question is, I don't know why nobody's asked this, is when are you incorporating JTweaks?
Once Jeerlin, I don't know.
No, Jeerlin, if you watch this, we're just messing with you, man.
Jeerlin has some hot takes.
Some of us do. I've got some myself, but I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. This has been a good discussion. I've got some good content here for the
Anybody
video.
has some closing questions or whatever, feel free to ask. Otherwise, come to the Requiem Discord and the 3tweaks section. That we have a suggestions channel, discussion channel. I mean, there's also the Requiem Wabajack Discord. Or on Reddit. I mean, if you really don't use Discord, Reddit's fine. It just may not be as popular. I
Yeah,
think the Nexus is one of the worst places because it's just I don't like having discussions on Nexus. It's not
that's an
really
awful.
formatted.
There's awful like layout for stuff. 3tweaks. It means 3bftweaks. Now, I think the 3 and 3tweaks was for the 3 letters and AZ tweaks, right? AZT, 3 letters, so make it 3tweaks.
3tweaks means 3tweaks, btweaks, and ftweaks. It was a noob could tell the future, I think.
Yeah, he could.
He knew that there were going to be 3 tweaks.
I should name the video "The Legend of the 3 Tweaks."
Could be good.
The Legend of
Will we
the
get
3
the full
Tweaks.
alphabet tweaks eventually? We just need more people. So
Well, we've
Lala
got
will
J
make
and
L
G.
tweaks. Oh god.
We've got L for Lala.
The mod itself is a foreshadowing, yes.
Get W tweaks from Wolf. Sorry, Ghoul. I took the G. You can be S. You can be Smasher tweaks. S tweaks. We got R tweaks for Ray. Although I don't want to know what Ray tweaks adds.
Oh no, Ray's not making a tweaks mod. That's the
L tweaks is like the lose meme, I know, right? Yeah, Lala gotta hold that L.
what's he saying? What's the thing that I would like to change the most in 3bftweaks?
Who said that? I see that Taffer.
Elsky. Thing I would like to change the most in 3bftweaks. I don't think there's one thing I would like to change that I haven't. I think maybe the NPC stamina system, but I don't know if there's a way to really. So right now,
I was actually gonna ask a similar question.
Yeah.
What's something about 3bftweaks or just like modding in general that you would want to accomplish but you just can't get figured out or just like doesn't seem possible right now? Look what the framework's given.
So I'm gonna make a few changes, but I don't think they're really gonna work, to be honest. Of making NPC stamina not infinite. So the way it works now is all NPCs have a stamina cost for attacking, including the player. So everyone has a stamina cost for attacking, but NPCs also have a stamina gain while attacking. So while they're losing stamina, they're gaining stamina. So basically, it's a net like positive stamina gain or like close to net positive where it doesn't even affect them. So ideally, NPCs would use stamina, and there's going to be ways to get your bandits out of stamina. But in practice, it just basically is like holding the back button or the S button on your keyboard or like down button on your controller and kiting bandits or making them like attack you, losing stamina, and they'll just keep doing it until they're out of stamina. Then you can just abuse them.
Yeah.
And when that's the most efficient way of playing and it's super easy to do, it's not like it takes skill. It's not complex to do. It's just you see your NPC stamina go down, so you're like, oh, I'll just keep doing this, and that's not really a fun combat system. So if I could find a
So
way around that,
I have a suggestion for that, actually.
sure.
What about something along the lines of like a similar stamina pool, maybe even slightly more than like what you can expect the player to have for that type of enemy, and then they have like just like pretty fast regen. So like if they hold block for a while or something and then they do an attack, like they regen their stamina back pretty quickly. So this way you can't just like forever keep dodging attacks until they run out, and then, you know, because then they're just going to regen it fast. But when they do get below like a 20% threshold, they get the slower regen, similar to the player. So this way you kind of only have like a brief moment to capitalize on the low stamina, and then once they get past that 20% threshold, they just regen it really fast.
I will take a look. I just switched my desktop. How do I get back?
Because kind of like the idea I have is like I want certain things to make sense. Like, hold on, you can run them out of stamina only via frost spells. That's what I found. Yeah. So like it would make frost spells like actually work a lot better, because you could actually drain their stamina to a point where they're regening slow. Things like absorb stamina or damage stamina enchantments, or I think you got rid of the poisons that do that, but you still have the enchantment like damage stamina or absorb stamina. So you get them down low, and like Wolf said, they attack so slow and be extremely easy to kill. You could maybe not have the restriction for the slow attacks at low stamina for bandits or enemies. Like maybe only make it to where their blocking is less effective. So if you are fighting the turtle that blocks infinitely, if you manage to whittle him down eventually enough on his stamina, you can actually hit and do some damage. You can Jeerlin him through the shield eventually. Well, Cairo, one other thing to keep in mind is with the frost is most of the bandits you're fighting are probably Nords. So they're already resisting like 75% of your frost. It's technically less than 75%, but it's close to 75.
I took a few notes here about some ideas. Maybe I'll try them out. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Behavior
here?
changes to blocking. Yeah, blocking is difficult to balance, I feel like, for bandits.
Of course, Azrak says behavior changes.
Yeah, well, Azrak, I don't know why you haven't made the mod yet. Like, where's it at?
Oh, give me 1 second. I need to mute myself.
You're good. Yeah, I was going to ask that question too, Za, because unless changes are made to where stamina is impactful for enemies, then the damage stamina, or even just, I mean, the absorb stamina is obviously good, but the damage stamina is useless. Damage magicka is borderline useless, I feel like.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. I will. Next update, I said earlier, I'm changing damage stamina and damage magicka enchantments to something else. So.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Oh, cool.
What did he say? Do I think 3bftweaks is playable without AC or La La Land? Yeah, you can just slap it on and it's fine.
Staff blocking? What? I was playing around with staff blocking over the weekend. Now I know how blocking. I don't get what he's saying there.
Staff
like
blocking
a battle staff?
Battle staff, or maybe blocking with an actual staff, which isn't currently possible without a dual wield sheath mod or something. Yeah, well, I think maybe I answered him too early. So damage, stamina, and magic enchantments are already going to be something useful next update, and I've already changed the potion or the poison effects to something else.
Yeah, that's where the oils came from. Blocking with a mage staff. And an empty hand.
Oh, that's not possible, right? Normally,
no, in the current, you just punch, yeah. But Azrak, you're gonna ruin my staff wielding unarmed build. Okay. Any other final questions that anybody might have? I feel like we got some good insight here. No pun intended. Rip.
Insight in real life.
So as far as like the history, AZT was first, obviously, and Nid played AZT. Eventually, made some add-ons, made some his own changes. Decided to make 3bftweaks from inspiration of AZT. Banana started helping with bug fixes, or at least making like reporting bugs. And towards a Nid's end of modding, Banana made btweaks. I got like the when AZT came about, and then when 3bftweaks was uploaded. Some differences are general. Oh, differences between AZT and btweaks or 3bftweaks. Then B and F started off as balancing, and eventually Ftweaks went on to add more content. Kind of like the brief history. The added weapon types like the katanas and the quarterstaves that came from CC
Requiem.
content, right?
No.
So Requiem just added all of that stuff.
From like Heavy Armory and maybe a couple other sources, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then of course Ftweaks. I actually liked the added stuff.
So originally in Requiem they were kind of carbon copies, like Kantos were the exact same as daggers, just like reskins, but I
gotcha.
changed it.
Yeah, you made them more unique, which is cool. You don't have any plans to add new weapon types unless Requiem does, right?
Nothing unless something comes up, yeah.
Because I think Heavy Armory is the one that had like the whips and everything too, didn't it?
Without like the animations that go along with them, I'm not adding anything like that because they
Gotcha.
use the same vanilla animation, so I don't feel like there's a lot of room for new types of
No, they have animations for them.
I think they require like add-on mods.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and then you'd have to add more requirements for Ftweaks. Are we gonna buff any races? Example, Khajiits.
Only when someone has a good idea or I have a good idea, but I feel like they're generally okay at as they are right now.
And since Banana's back on Discord, it seems, are you gonna recruit him for the next update?
I mean, if he has anything to contribute or wants to talk about, he will.
The real question is, are Bretons ever going to get a buff?
They've been buffed so many times.
I know. You think they'd be the best race by now, but you can't even make it to Riverwood without running out of stamina. Cairo Forn talked about his favorite build probably about 20 minutes ago. Make the cats even faster. Maybe cats, because I think there was a mod in Serenity that did this. Like cats got different bonuses for being on skooma. They got like better bonuses for skooma.
I was thinking of that, but yeah.
It could be interesting.
I mean, they get addicted just like anyone else, just in their culture.
Yeah. But maybe they just, I don't know. They have survival adaptations that skooma enhances certain attributes of them more so than other races get. Like even Argonians, like maybe their health regen increases. I don't even know what fucking skooma does right now, to be honest with you.
Slows time and a couple other things.
Yeah. So maybe cats get more movement speed while under skooma. That's so minor though, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Hell yeah, wildlife. Glad you enjoyed. Might be Imperious races. Maybe, I don't know. Mike wishes you well. Foreign, is there anything else that you would like to add or say to the people, or anything you would like to advertise? Maybe your OnlyForns or your Patreon?
No, I mean, that's in the description if someone wants to do that. But I guess the biggest thing I've got to say probably is thank you to everybody in the community, because so many people have made like all the contributions to 3bftweaks a possibility. I mean, I'll just name a few people offhand, but if I forgot you, then I apologize in advance. But Talis, Asrak, Ori, Veggie, Lala, you, as in Greed, Wolf, I'm probably forgetting so many people, but they've all done different things between helping make Ghoul, between helping make videos or helping add new content, like some of the modders doing things I couldn't do. Just so many things. It's a big community effort for this mod. Um, I know Requiem is kind of like a closed kind of thing. Manuel just is a crazy good modder and does everything by himself now, pretty much. But I am not. So a lot of people in the
Hmm.
community have helped out. Oh, of course, and a noob in disguise and Banana Knot for doing so many things with the original mods and then continued support after. So it's just kind of crazy how the community has come together to make what we have now.
Is there anyone, if we ever do something like this again, like maybe if I open up a questionnaire or something like that where people can submit questions, we have time for those to build up. Is there anybody that you would like to see, or anybody that the viewers would like to see, maybe jump on one of these like almost podcast style videos?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell because a lot of people in the modding community are disconnected with the mod authors. They might be familiar with the mods they use, but they're
Sure.
disconnected with the authors or just don't care about the authors, right? Because plenty of mods I use, I don't care about who makes it. I just want to use the mod. So
Hmm.
it's tough to see what other people may want. Um, I mean, maybe people would want information about AZ Tweaks and Apple and have questions for him.
I think AZT is probably the biggest one,
Uh,
especially since Apple surfaced back on
Even
Discord.
Requiem, Manuel, if you could get him on.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I don't to be honest, I don't think a noob or banana would want to be interviewed, but
I doubt it.
maybe if they want to, possibly. And maybe Nox Crab. And the only thing I could think of is like big mod wise is maybe makers of some of the Wabbajack lists about their lists specifically of what they're aiming for.
Hmm.
So I'd say those are the biggest ones. If I'm forgetting anything, then sorry, but that's all I'm thinking of right now. Oh, maybe who makes some bigger mods? I mean, there's Requiem for a Knave, but I don't think that's been updated in a little while at this point. Um, yeah,
Yeah, sounds good. Definitely. Yeah, I think obviously Manuel would be the biggest one.
definitely.
Um I was so when I made the Requiem the Requiem beginner's guide video, I was shocked when Ogre Boss actually messaged me on Reddit about it.
He
So I don't
did.
know if you I don't huh? What was
He
that?
did. Interesting.
Yeah, I was super shocked. I don't even remember who was working on Requiem at that time. I think it was still him, wasn't it?
I don't know when you made it. What do you say?
Hold on. Let
Is
me.
this a secret information or?
No, no. I mean, okay, so I don't think a lot of you probably don't know this, but um if you go to the Requiem SSE mod page, my video is featured on the mod page.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he messaged me about that. I'm going to my videos right now. I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah,
pull
look
it.
at that. That's huge.
Yeah, so that was like around
If
the
you
time when
want
it
to
came
know
out
more
too.
about the defining features of Requiem, we recommend to lean back and watch this great summary video from Greed Gaming. That's probably why that video blew up so much.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
You have
part of it was also
150,000
Dylan Perry.
views.
Yeah, it's got a lot of views. Where is it? I can't find it for some reason. You know, I don't know why I'm looking through my videos. If I literally just type in Requiem on YouTube, it'll come up.
I pulled up the Nexus page and it's linked. So
Yeah, I was trying to pull up the release. It was over a year ago. Oh yeah, actually it came out, funny enough, on January 1st, 2022. So it's been a year and a half. He commented get good. Yeah. So yeah, when did Manuel take over?
ooh, I think it was last year, but I'm not 100%.
If it was last year, then so I'm assuming it was Ogre Boss was in control of it at the time before Manuel. Is that correct?
I don't know the timing, but yeah, Emmanuel was right after Ogre Boss. Like
That's
I
what I
saw.
thought. Because
I
it
mean,
was who
Emmanuel
was
was
first?
always
The
there,
first
but
was
he was
Zarian, right?
well, originally it was Zarian, and then there were I don't know exactly who helped when,
Yeah, I
but
don't
then
know either.
eventually there was always like extra people helping. Like Manuel's been there for years, but then the
Mm-hmm.
main person was Ogre Boss. Like
Yeah.
and then now it's Manuel. But Manuel's been there for like I don't know, pretty much the whole time.
Gotcha. I didn't know about that. Yeah. So yeah, I was really shocked. Ogre Boss reached out to me on Reddit about the video, and he asked if he could display it on the mod page. I was like, dude, of course. like, it's like the main thing is to help out the community. So that was really cool. So getting Ogre Boss on here would be pretty crazy. I don't know what he's doing though.
I know he has a Discord. So maybe we could try in a Reddit. So, but yeah, he'd be cool if he got on there.
Yeah, I think it'd just be cool to talk about some of the things that he's experienced in his time of creating Requiem or working on Requiem. And I don't even know. Imagine getting Zarian on here.
I don't even know how to contact that guy.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. I don't even know where to contact him.
Hear about his thought process.
Yeah, seriously, or like what he thinks about where it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get Todd Howard. Wait, hold on. Who's that guy that interviewed Todd Howard? The YouTuber. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
Oh God. No, what's his name? Someone's gonna comment it any second now. Come on, Nazrak, what are you doing? Lex Friedman.
Not familiar with that guy.
Okay, he's a YouTuber. He actually interviewed Todd Howard. This was like a year ago. Sometime last year. Anyways, that'd be pretty funny. But I think with that, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, chat would like to add, I think this is a pretty good time to wrap it up. Nice 2.5 hour discussion. Let Forn get back to work on his update.
I've been working on it.
Yeah, I know you said you were working on it today. You don't have to answer this on stream if you don't want to. Do you have an idea of a time frame? Like, is this like a month long, like months out update? Is this something you're wrapping up? Is this something you still have a lot of work left to do on?
Well, you gave me a decent amount of things to work on today.
Sure.
So I'd say
no timeline.
Nearing its completion. A couple more bugs I need to fix.
Sure.
Minor things, basically.
And of course, anytime we give you new content to work on, there's always going to be, well, I create it, it's not working, got to work on it, got to fix the bugs, whatever. So we'll just say,
I'd say within the next week or so, not too long. I did a bulk of the work already.
Gotcha. No worries. And so with that, are you just focusing on updating Ftweaks or also RK's commandment?
It'll be basically hand in hand.
Yeah. I figured as much, just because I know you and Ghoul and everybody's working on the hand placed bandits, and that's a big update. But all right, well, with that, I appreciate you for coming on here. I think it was a good idea to do kind of like a little YouTube stream. I think it was pretty fun. I think a Skyrim podcast or a Requiem podcast would be hilarious. Don't know if we quite have the community for it, but we could always try something.
Right.
we're not the largest. It's a pretty small community to do a podcast setup, and I don't know if there's enough to talk about to have like an episodic series or anything. But it's been fun. I guess be catching you guys around. If anybody has anything else or any other kind of podcast idea related videos that they'd like to see, guests, whatever, questions, I might post like a Q&A at some point, or just like a question submission sheet. But always open to suggestions. You can reach out to me on YouTube through comments. You can reach out to me on Discord. Don't forget to join the Discord. We've got 2 Discords in the description below. You can join the regular Requiem Discord and the Requiem Wabbajack Discord. Both are great. You can always reach out to us there. Don't ping people like crazy. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't go crazy on the DMs, but 1 or 2 is okay. But we're here for you. If you guys need anything, we're there. But anything else?
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right. No problem, man. Thank you. And I'll catch you guys later. See ya.